race. All that's left in the 2005 ARCA RE/MAX Series season. A handful have attained the goal of victory this year. Some repeat winners, others celebrating for the first time. This is the final shot for a field of hopefuls. One last chance to make it into the record books. The pressure will be greater than ever. Who will conquer the mammoth Talladega Superspeedway flying in weight? The Food World 300 starts next. The ARCA RE/MAX Series Championship is locked up for 2005. It belongs to Frank Kimmel for the 7th time in his career. However, there's one more checkered flag to be grabbed, and it comes with the win here at the Food World 300 at the super fast Talladega Superspeedway. Let's head right downstairs to meet the young man who won the pole. He's standing by with Lindsay Zarniak.
Craig Kinzer is making only his 2nd appearance in the ARCA RE/MAX Series. He has never raced here at Talladega, and he's gone and gotten himself the pole. Craig, I know that you're a regular in the World of Outlaws Series. How difficult is it not only to make the transition to ARCA, but to a track like Talladega?
I mean, just transition the pavement is definitely a big step, and 2 totally different feels of the cars, and especially coming to Talladega where air plays so much a big factor in it, and we only got a couple laps in practice to get used to drafting, and learned a lot during the race, I think.
And I know that you said you're not surprised that this car was able to make it on the pole. You were a little relieved that you were the driver behind the wheel. Do you feel like you've learned enough to keep it up front?
I hope so. I mean, we definitely got a real good car, and I think I'm confident in the car, and I finally got a little bit of confidence in me now running around here, and hopefully I think we can keep it up front.
All right, Craig's last start in this series was at Michigan. He started 2nd, he finished 8th, and if he wins today, he'll be able to celebrate it with his birthday on October 8th. Guys?
Well, Lindsay, he will get his name on the Port Pole Award standings, but that title and the beautiful Harley-Davidson motorcycle that comes with winning it goes to Joey Miller, who claimed 6 Port Poles this year. David Reagan will finish in 2nd with 3. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Shaheen along with Dan Pardis as we get set for the final race of the year. Now, the tricky thing coming into this race is not only the fact that this is a super fast and very big speedway, but we've got about 20 young drivers in this field who've never been here before, and they're in fast race cars, Dan. How much will that add to the danger element of this event?
Oh, you're exactly right, Ralph. A driver has to be patient. He has to discipline himself. The spotters are going to work extremely hard here today at this racetrack to keep their drivers cool all day. Be patient. Don't jump out of line. Don't try and gain positions real quick. You just have to wait for the right time, and timing's everything here. You could be up front and go to the back in a hurry, and you can be in the back and come to the front in a hurry. So it's so important to be consistent and discipline yourself.
And watch out for that big one. And here's what that 2.66-mile super speedway looks like, but there's one unique factor to it as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Most racetracks at the start-finish line, we have the start-finish line is right there through the center of the tri-oval. This track is so different, about 1/8 of a mile past it right there, so you have to stay in the throttle.
Well, let's head downstairs for the command to fire them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Scott North, Vice President of Operations, Food World, as he gives those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
So the engines come to life, and there is the 2005 ARCA RE/MAX Series National Champion. And Dan, this is exactly what Frank Kimmel was going after his entire career, getting that 7th National Championship. And Don Radebaugh, he accomplished it. He separates himself from the great Iggy Katona.
A man amongst men for sure, Ralph. But how about this guy, Bobby Gerhardt, the only driver in the field today who's been a winner here at Talladega Super Speedway in the past. He was fastest in the first practice session and 2nd on the starting grid. Add his Daytona wins, 3 there, and you've got to have the odds-on favorite to win here today to help celebrate what he hopes will be a very big day. This special edition gold Lucas Oil Chevrolet. Check it out. He calls it Goldfinger. Wow, it's really nice. Bob Dildner.
A lot of guys don't have a lot of experience here on this Talladega Super Speedway. In fact, nearly half the field making their first ever start here. Among them, qualifying 5th, Justin Marks, but he's had some trouble. A major mishap in practice. He will have to start in the rear of the field. The guy he had the mishap with, another first-timer. His first time here, Eric Almirola, one of the Joe Gibbs Racing Development drivers. They are teammates. And then just a little further back, one of Kevin Harvick's development drivers, Bernie Lamar. He's won 2 times on the Winston West Series this year. He will start in the 12th spot. And then even a little further back from that, talking about Bobby East in the 29 car. He starts right behind his teammate, Frank Kimmel. Bobby East is the son of the famous open wheel manufacturer, chassis manufacturer, Bob East. He's hoping for a good run here today, but guys, we have a lot of guys with little experience on the super speedway here at Talladega.
That we do, Bob. One guy joining us in the booth with a lot of experience here and a couple of victories as well. Ken Schrader has been with us a few times during the year. Kenny, you know a lot about what is needed experience-wise to win here. Lots of fast young kids like Bobby East, like Bernie Lamar. Yeah. How much experience are they going to gain today, and how much do they need to be get through this race?
Well, they're going to gain a lot of experience today. I mean, the first time you go to a restrictor plate race like this, and with all the drafting, I mean, you know how much you gain. But I'm not counting those young kids out in their initial start out as not potential winners. They've watched a lot of races. They've talked to a lot of people. They're driving for some good teams. They've got a shot.
41 cars will take the green flag. The largest purse of the season, too. Pit window about 45 to 53 laps. Dan, we hear maybe 2 stops, probably even possibly a third.
All depends on the cautions. 17 wins from the pole here at Talladega, so it can be done. A guy gets out front, stays in clean air, he can be in victory lane.
Kenny, the one thing we always talk about when we come to these big super speedways, the big one. It's a word I know everybody, or a term everybody hates to talk about, but the last time we were at Daytona with the season opener, we saw a massive one. Watch this if you missed it. Down the backstretch as we were headed towards the checkered flag in this one, and in the middle of all this was Billy Venturini. What can a driver do in the midst of all that, Kenny? Is it just a hang on?
It's just hang on. You know, it all starts, one car just bumps it a little bit. You know, if the 60 car wouldn't have came back across the track then and blocked everything up, but everyone's just hanging on there. You crunch up, you hold on, and just hope this thing's over fairly quick.
Yep. Well, we're getting excited because this start is just around the corner. The ARCA REMAX Series season finale from the Talladega Super Speedway is just moments away, and you're going to see it all right here on Speed Channel. Speed Channel's coverage of the ARCA REMAX Series is brought to you by REMAX, outstanding agents, outstanding results. By America's pork producers. And by SK Hand Tool, professional tools since 1921. Well, the field is out on the racetrack, circulating behind the pace car, and we're getting set to go racing. A young rookie trying to do what his dad, the king of the outlaws, Steve Kinzer, did, and that's get a win here at Talladega. Steve did it in an IROC car. Young Craig's going to try to do it here today in ARCA with the Daytona winner, Bobby Gerhart, starting alongside.
We see Kyle Krisloff and Bobby Gerhart's other entry. Him and Bobby Gerhart have been awesome together. Hey, their key today is stay up front and work together, and they'll be there at the end. Aaron Crocker in a 98 car, and the Everham entry is also very strong here today.
Couple of youngsters here too. Justin Marks in the 62, and coming out of the Joe Gibbs Racing Drive Development Program, Eric Almirola.
See Keith Burton having a great start position here today, starting right up there in the top 10. I talked to him earlier. He said, man, it's the great start position I've ever had here at Talladega. Hopefully I keep it towards the front. Him and Christie are really hoping for the same thing. Talk to them both. Hope they can follow single file and stay up front.
Brack Maggard will be behind the wheel of the 64, and Bernie Lamar from Northern California, another one of these youngsters. His grandfather, a legendary sprint car owner. Bernie getting used to the big super speedway today.
Johnny Leonard of the Boca Bay Builders, Florida. This team has really grown through the year. They've relocated their facility to Charlotte area. Really happy about the progress they've made. You see Jeremy Clements on the outside row there.
And there's Frank Kimmel in the 7th row with Ken Weaver alongside of him. You see Bobby East back there, Mike Garrity, Joey Miller. Joey's going to end up dropping back here. I was talking to Matt Hagens, Kenny, and he was telling me, the team owner for that car, that they're going to change the air blocks on that machine They tested and practiced and qualified with one, didn't like that, so they're going to go ahead, since they're starting a little deep, change it out, put the better one in, and go to the back of the field and race their way up.
Well, they must be feel pretty confident that it's a plus for them to go ahead and give up that track position and go to tailback in this race.
On a day like today, Kenny, as we look at the rest of the field, including Jason Jarrett back in 19th row and Todd Boucher, who's going to bring up the back of the field, how much is track position going to be a huge factor? If we've got all these young guys up at the front, it might be a good thing, be a little deeper in the field. If there's going to be an incident, let it happen in front of you.
Well, you know, years ago, ARCA used to have a rap as having a bad rap as far as having a big wreck. Well, since then, the Busch Grand National Series and Nextel Cup Series, heck, we've topped them as far as number of cars that we can wreck at one time. So you never know if there is going to be a big wreck, where it's going to start. If it's going to start in the middle, I've been in them when it's going down the back straightaway. Daytona, first, second, and third place ran into one another. So there's real no safe place out there.
Don, were they changing that airbox in the 9?
You know it, Ralph. They did not like the package they had earlier, and because they impound the cars, they couldn't work on it till they got down on the starting grid. Now, they broke an oil cooler actually yesterday, so they had to change that anyway. So actually, they're going to have to drift to the tail end anyway, so no harm, no foul here. They did not like the air box package, so they changed it here on pit road. I know that's a big deal, these air boxes these days, Schrader.
Well, most definitely. It's that totally controls how fast that engine's going to run.
Here's Mike Garrity's view. He's got a new paint scheme today with Prudential on the hood. His first Talladega appearance.
Mike having a good happy hour practice session, running in the top 10 there. Good run for him.
Bobby East will give us this look. The youngster out of Brownsburg, Indiana, starting 15th.
And a Frank Kimmel second car. That's the car that won here last year at Talladega on the pole.
Ken Weaver's had some rough times and some good times here at Talladega. He's going to make his 4th start here today, starting 14th.
Ken Weaver's had quite a breakout year, though.
Yes, he has. Yes. And the now 7-time national champion. No wins at Talladega. Maybe today, with the championship already in the bag, he can race as hard as he'd like today. Johnny Leonard, as we work our way up towards the front, starting 11th. 13th here last year. Nice, sunny, warm afternoon here today at Talladega. And look at all the cars that showed up that did not make the field.
Wow. Tremendous turnout here at Talladega this year. Some good, strong race cars in there. You know, guys that's been here before, that's run well here, but unfortunately this ARCA REMAX series has gotten so tough that it takes a lot of power to come here.
Now here's the one that's really, this is all the first timers that showed up here, and a lot of them made the field, and a lot of them up near the front, the names who have never been here before.
Wow.
No, but there's a lot of experience in some of those names, even though they haven't been here before.
You're exactly right. Some of these teams are Nextel Cup R&D teams, so there is a lot of experience.
Well, and a lot of proven winners in there, obviously,
right.
And some of them winners in this series. All right, here we go. The Food World 300, the season finale for the ARCA REMAX series here on Speed. We hope you've enjoyed the season. Now sit back and relax and enjoy the season finale as Craig Kinzer and Bobby Gerhart lead the field to the starting line here at Talladega. We're green and racing.
One thing you don't have to worry about Talladega a whole lot is spinning the tires when you take off.
Down the back stretch as they build up speed. You're on board with Johnny Leonard. Kenny, how far do you have to go before you really get that machine up to full momentum?
Well, when we're qualifying, we'll see sometimes 4 to 4/10 to half second pickup in the second lap. So it takes a little over a lap to get that thing wound up all the way.
On board with the 7-time national champion. 6th title in a row for Frank Kimmel. Unbelievable.
There was a time when Frank came to Talladega and he wasn't a factor and just wanted to get through, but we haven't seen that lately. Now Frank's always been a factor in these races.
Yeah, he has, and part of that is the competitiveness of this series. It's really stepped up a notch or two. He knows he has to come to the super speedway now and be competitive. If not, it could really possibly be a reason why he could lose the points championship.
Well, we see 2 distinct lines already. They've got side by side, and it's hard for that front row to get separated so far.
Andy Belmont's #1 has fallen off the pace. Looks like his day's going to end early. Lindsay, the 46 of Frank Kimmel, trying to do something now in his record book that he doesn't have, and that's add a win here at Talladega.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Ralph. I talked to his brother, Bill Kimmel, his crew chief in the garage today, and he said what is most special to them is the fact that Frank has been able to stand up and compete as hard as he ever has, even with all the rookies that have been in the ARCA series this year. And I spoke to Frank a little bit too, and Frank said to get this 7th title is absolutely just a dream come true.
We got a big one over in turn 2.
Shot right up the racetrack.
Yeah.
Hard leg.
Replay, we can see exactly.
Oh, and we got more cars involved. The 95 getting tagged right there, Roger Williams, and the 9 of Joey Miller is involved. The 2 cars, Eric Almirola and the Joe Gibbs entry, who is hoping for such a good day here today. And it looks like Eric's afternoon is over. The 64 is involved as well. Oh,
unfortunate. There's Joey Miller. You see the window nets down on Joey Miller's car. Hard impact to all these race cars. Just nowhere to go, Kenny. When this happens, it's really just look for a hole and drive to it. Am I right?
You just hope it's still there by the time you get there.
The 64, of course, Brack Maggard. See, he was involved.
See Brad Smith in the 26 car.
There's Almirola. He's in that 2 car, the Joe Gibbs Racing entry.
I see Eric moving around. What we like to see is that window net come down. That's the sign that the driver's basically okay, and he drops the net himself. 64, I think, took the hardest hit in that wreck.
It really did. Looks like he's moving around. You see the Talladega safety crews.
Let's see what happened here. Let's watch. It's 64 where it started.
Frank's underneath him, and when we get here a little bit farther, the 64
just gets a little loose. Looks like
got loose. What happened?
Oh, he went just about head first into that wall. There is a safety barrier over there now, isn't there, Kenny?
Yes, and we see about a 30% reduction in the G-forces there. I guarantee you that safer barrier right there made a tremendous difference.
Absolutely, Kenny. I mean,
but now we've still got a little stuff going on behind.
Still got guys slowing down. Sometimes they just brake check, and fortunately you get the rear wheels loose on the back of them race cars, and just the wreck just compounds.
Kenny, was it a situation where he thought Frank was going to come up a little bit more on him? It looked like Frank started to move up, and he kind of turned the wheel in response to that?
Like he went up, and then there was someone on the outside, and he cut back down a little bit, and then it got loose. I'll tell you what, there's some hard lessons to be learned at this place.
Yeah, there is. And unfortunately, when you get 3 wide like that, Kenny, sometimes it just takes the air off the car. You see him drive down in there, and he just gets a little loose right there. No contact, it doesn't look like. Maybe just the air got off the car, and the buffing of all that wind, maybe the car's a little bit loose and just nothing you can do.
This was Brack's first race of 2005. He was 19th here last year, and that's a former Ganassi car, and he was running Matt Hagen's number, who's a good friend of his, and he'd been talking about this might be his last race.
It's like he just got loose all by himself, Kenny. You know, just wiggled there in the center, turned to the left, and turned the wheel to the right to correct. And we all know what that does. It's so bad here when you turn the wheel to the right on these super speedways, because it does shoot you right back into the wall.
Yes, it does.
And he just brushed into the 19 car, didn't he?
We can see a little farther back here.
Yep, he's down on the apron.
The black car there, the 95. He hadn't checked up yet.
Nope.
And all of a sudden he was looking for places to go, and he was out of options.
Unfortunately, that 2 car was in front of him. He went to the bottom and just got collected.
That 19, of course, is Keith Mertz's car right there. Oh boy, Maggard's car right up onto the hood of the 2. 95 being Roger Williams that you see. Look at that right front wheel, Kenny, pushed so far back.
Yeah, that car took a hard impact. It'll be pretty interesting to see how many G's that thing hit with.
On board with Mike Garrity.
See, there's the 64 car impacts the wall, and Mike gets back on the throttle. It's so important when you get to a wreck to put it back to the mat so you don't get nailed behind you. That happens a lot also, Kenny.
Oh, most definitely.
And here's Johnny Leonard's view.
64 up in the wall. Johnny looks to the bottom, stays right back in the gas pedal, and gets out of there. So important here at the Super Speedway.
Well, the safety crews are still over in the turn 2 area cleaning up the wreckage, so we'll take advantage of that and take care of some business while they prepare the racetrack so we can go back to green. Stay with us. The season finale for the ARCA REMAX Series coming your way here on Speed from Talladega. Thursday night on Speed, the chase is on. Now there are only 10. Where does your driver stand in the chase for the Cup? Join Dale, Jarrett, and myself as we break down the facts, the stats, and how the chase is stacking up. The chase is on Thursday night at 8 Eastern, only on Speed. Here's our leader, Craig Kinzer, who started on the pole here today. And let's head downstairs. So Don Radebaugh has a story on the 9 car.
We'll get to that, Ralph, but first the 25, Billy Venturini, was very lucky to get through that accident, but he did run over a lot of debris, so they came in and made a pit stop, changed all 4 tires, and while they were here, made a track bar adjustment to the 9 car. Wasn't so lucky. They are done for the day.
All right, there's the 9 out of it.
Wow, unfortunate for Joey. You know, they had a rock shoot up underneath the car yesterday in happy hour practice, punch a hole in the oil cooler the last few minutes of practice. Unfortunately, they had to start the race car in the back, and basically he was victim of the circumstance. So that happens. We talked about that earlier, things that could happen at Talladega. You can be in front and get wrecked. You can be in the back, and he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Let's take one more look at what happened, why we're under our first caution of the day. Headed down into turns 1 and 2. Right into Bobby East's car.
Sure was. Like Brad got a little loose, turned left, and bounced right off of Bobby East there. Bobby's probably got some body damage to that car, but looks like he's still on the racetrack. Hopefully no aerodynamic deficiencies of that car right now.
Car.
Oh, there's East right there. Actually, he's in the pits.
In the garage, getting some work done on the 29.
Yeah, pretty hard hit.
Yep.
We'll be right back to Talladega for more after this. Still circulating under yellow here at Talladega after that big incident over in turn 2. Joey Miller was involved in that, knocked out of the race. He should still hold on to second place in the points. He's got about a 550-point lead over Ken Weaver, who sits in third. But Bob Dillner, Chad McCumbie's had problems, and he's in fourth, hoping to hang on to that position.
Yeah, and he was not involved with that big wreck, but Chad McCumbie done for the day. What put you out in a very disappointing way to end the season for you, Chad?
Yeah, it really is. That's pretty disheartening, but, you know, that's part of racing. Apparently we had a motor problem or some sort of driveline problem, and I don't know if the driveline problem came before the motor or the motor was the entire deal, but, you know, it's real disappointing. Everything happens for a reason, you know, so it's part of racing, and, you know, we were doing what we needed to do and hanging with the lead pack. I mean, heck of effort from these guys. You know, we had like 8 laps of practice on this car, never seen a racetrack, and we were gonna be pretty decent today. So as part of it, we'll get them in Daytona.
They've struggled all weekend long with clutch problems, and Chad is not done here at Talladega. He's doing some stunt driving for the new Will Ferrell movie early this week. Lindsay?
I'm joined by Joey Miller. Joey, thankful to see that you walked out of the infield care center okay. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, we were just down on the bottom. I mean, almost the wreck was like totally done, and it's like what happens in the series all the time. Somebody drives over you, watching the front of their hood. But just happy, got through the year, 2nd points, Rookie of the Year, won a Harley, 4 wins. So it's happy, everything turned out good so far. So hopefully we'll see you guys next year.
Guys?
That is a great year for Joey Miller. Let's take one more look at it, Kenny.
Yeah, the 64 car loose and overcorrects and hard into the outside wall. And then we'll see some problems coming into the screen here. When that wreck is basically over, there's another one that starts again.
Yeah, Williams in that 95 driving hard into the incident. We were talking. Oh, and look at this. They're working on the wall over there too, Kenny. That safer barrier does a lot of absorbing of the impact, but then sometimes we got to go back and not necessarily reset it, but repair it so it can take another hit if it's needed.
Looks like they're getting a piece of foam, or what it's like a styrofoam material that actually absorbs a lot of the energy, and going to replace that.
Now
you can see how much the wall will deflect here if you just watch the front of the 64 car.
Wow.
See how much that wall goes in and that? I mean, the energy that it absorbs is really amazing.
Which is fantastic because behind that is nothing but concrete and that next layer of wall.
It doesn't absorb anything.
No.
Yeah. I know for a
and you can
fact
attest to that. Huh?
I'm living proof to that too.
Yeah.
Bobby East was caught up in that as well, and there's some repairs going on with his car, Bob Dillner.
That's right, Ralph, and he was one of our first-time Talladega competitors, and Bobby East just got caught up in that one. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, this Clorox Ford Taurus was pretty good. I mean, it sucked right up on anybody I needed to, and you know, I hoping to push Frank all day and you know, try and get up towards the front. And after that corner, we would have been in the top 5, and we would have been in position to ride the rest of the day. But you know, it just wasn't meant to be. You know, I want to thank the Camos. They gave me a great car. The Ford was handling really good, and you know, it's just a shame. You know, we wanted to ride around there and be there at the end, and you know, some guy got caught in the middle and probably got a little nervous or what. I really don't know what, but you know, it's a shame.
Very disheartening for Bobby East. The crew told me, hey, we almost missed that one, but you know what? Almost is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades, boys.
Well, that is a Kimmel race car that he was utilizing, and a good one at that. And Bobby, one of the development drivers for Ford. This is a car that Frank Kimmel sat on the pole with here just last year. Stay with us. We're coming back to Talladega. We're back to the ARCA REMAX Series season finale here from the Talladega Superspeedway, still under yellow. Let's take a quick look back at Frank Kimmel, the man who has claimed a record 7th championship with the ARCA REMAX Series this season. From his humble origins in Clarksville, Indiana, Frank Kimmel has traveled far. From the local bomber, street stock, and late model divisions to the top of the ARCA REMAX Series. There can be little doubt that Frank Kimmel has earned every inch of his success. Frank James Kimmel came into the world on April 30th, 1962, the son of full-time racers Bill and Mabel Kimmel. He grew up in a tiny 2-story blockhouse in Clarksville, one of 7 brothers and sisters, all of whom shared the same room, separated only by a tarp. Success did not come overnight for Kimmel, nor did it come easy. It came over the course of 25-plus years of pounding the pavement, during which his ongoing struggle would one day manifest itself into 7 national championships and records unmatched in more than a half-century of ARCA REMAX Series competition. With his first taste of ARCA competition, Kimmel set forth on an amazing quest that would thrust him to the forefront like no other. It started with Rookie of the Year honors in '92, coupled with a 5th-place points finish that same year. In 1994, Kimmel would score that elusive first victory at Toledo Speedway. He would not finish out of the top 5 in points, but once over the next 14 years. Today, he has eclipsed the record for national championships set by the late Iggy Katona with 7 overall, his 6th consecutive. He has an impressive 64 career wins, and today leaves Talladega as a 2005 ARCA REMAX Series national champion. Maybe today he'll leave here as a winner too. You can see he's the super speedway lap leader, but still no wins on a restrictor plate track. Let's check in with Bob Dillner.
Eric Almirola out of the race. He was one of those Talladega newbies. What did you see, Eric?
Well, the 46 got under the 64, and I don't know if he got into the 64 or the 64 got spooked or what, but 64 shot up the racetrack, hit the car right in front of me, come back down the racetrack. I moved up, thought I had it cleared, and he shot right back up the racetrack in front of us. Just unfortunate. Everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing gave me the opportunity to come out here and gain some experience restrictor plate racing and cut our day short, make 4 laps.
Very disappointed is Eric. He was hoping for a lot more experience here. And just to update you on Brack Maggard, the only radio communication that he did have with his crew was that he was okay and that he messed up on the racetrack.
Well, Eric Almirola has run about 13 races for Joe Gibbs Racing this year, and he's won 50% of them. Good young talent.
Pretty good numbers. Bright future for that guy.
Back to green with Craig Kinzer out front.
Frank Kimmel got a good restart there.
Sure did. I tell you, when you got to run there like that, Kenny, it's so important that you carry it out. You hate to get out of line that early, but man, when you get a run, am I right? You really need to take advantage of it going down into turn 1.
Right. Plus, you have to pass on the outside.
Yep.
So before the start-finish line.
If you got that run, you might as well just carry it to the outside and hope the guy behind you sees the same thing and he can go with you. But you see, it really helped Frank Kimmel. He picked up some 2 or 3 positions on that restart.
As the field storms down into turn number 3, we will tell you that Roger Williams and Brack Maggard are reported to be okay in the infield care center. However, ARCA officials are telling us that they will be transported to a local hospital for further evaluation and observation.
Well, this is what Craig Kinzer wants to see. No one in front of him and not a ton of cars right beside him.
Nope.
You know, when you look and they're right behind you, 2 wide and 3 wide. He's got a little bit of breathing room here.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, especially when it's like a 3 or 4 car breakaway. It really gives you a confidence builder, especially this early in the race, to kind of settle in, feel the car out, and know where it's going to take you the rest of the day.
To clarify that a little bit further, we're hearing from the ARCA officials the actual term now we're being told is awake and alert for Brack Maggard and Roger Williams, but they will be transported for further evaluation.
That's good. Guys both taking infield care and look like okay for it.
With more on the driver of the white number 10, Craig Kinzer, here's Bob.
Well, Craig Kinzer, a happy fellow, as you guys just talked about. In fact, this was the plan. He was going to hook up with Bobby Gerhart and Kyle Krisiloff and try to break away. Those 3 drivers practiced a lot in the final practice session, and they were head and shoulders above the competition. So says Bobby Gerhart. So right now, Craig Kinzer, a happy fellow in that number 10 car.
Well, and he's just beginning his racing day when he gets done here, just like he did in Michigan earlier this summer when he did his first ARCA race. He's got to jump on a plane and fly up to Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania to go run the Grove. Kenny, he's going to go run Williams Grove tonight. Ran there last night, finished inside the top 20, got back here about 2 a.m.
That's just the way you're supposed to race.
You'd probably go with him, wouldn't you?
I'd love to, but we're going to go across track and run the old Federated Dirt car again.
He also won the Knoxville Nationals there in 2005. Ralph, something you're very familiar with. I tell you, to drive one of them race cars is totally different than driving these cars, but you got to really respect what them guys do because they really hang it out. They drive down in the corner, sometimes much harder than we do here on these asphalt tracks, and it keeps you way alert, and your reflexes are very strong also driving on them dirt tracks like that. Am I right, Kenny?
And as he proved by winning in Knoxville, he is a young man who can win at a huge, big-time event. He can handle that pressure. Let's check in with Don Radebaugh.
Thanks, Ralph. Talked to Bobby Gerhart earlier. He feels he still has the best car in the field here today, although he did come across the radio and say, man, that 10 car is really, really good on restarts. Talladega is a track where you have to work with people, so he'll be working with his teammate Kyle Krisiloff all day long. But he told me earlier, inside of 20 laps to go, he'll have no more friends at Talladega Superspeedway.
The car that Craig Kinzer is driving is a backup car to Boris Said for Boris's Speedway effort from the MB2 program. Now, the car that Bobby Gerhart is driving is not the car that he won Daytona with. That car is actually sitting in Bobby's trailer as a backup. This one is a brand new race car, and when Bobby is all done racing here, he's going to take them both back down to Daytona for December speed testing and see which one he likes best and see which one he'll use in Speed Weeks 2006.
Now, would I be right to say that those would be 3 Hendrick engines? 1, 2, 3, though?
Bobby's not running a Hendricks motor in the 5 car. I asked him about that. He said, we're trying something different. He said, I've got a great engine builder up at my hometown. He said, it's an in-house motor. We're trying a little bit something different. Man, it looks like they really got horsepower under that hood there. It's a restrictor plate. We know how difficult it is. But the first and the third place car, Kyle Krisiloff, is Hendricks motors.
Well, that's let me tell you what. If you don't have one, that's being in between 2 of them at a restrictor plate race is a real good place to be.
Yeah, very rewarding, and they've done a great job. See, Frank Kimmel, of course, we're not showing him on the screen here, but he's running in 4th place. Frank's never won on a restrictor place racetrack, Kenny, and I know sometimes you come to racetracks and you lead races and you run up front, but when you don't, it sometimes takes drivers a long time to win on a plate race. But Frank's come here today and he says, Dan, I feel I've got the strongest car. I talked to his brother Bill Kimmel, his crew chief. He said, I believe this is the strongest race car we've got on the restrictor plate that we've ever been to. He says, I feel real good about today. If we can just hang with that draft and be there at the end, He said, I think we can win the race.
So many of the people that have won the ARCA restrictor plate races have come in there geared up for that race. Frank comes in here as being one of the 20-odd races to win the championship. But so many of them, you know, development teams, drivers, whatever, come in just for that race. Frank wants to win it. He's been in position. He gets closer every time. But it's just one of the race for the championship.
Exactly. And what people don't understand is we can spend $100,000 coming and testing for these speedways. So what Frank's opted to do is take that money and spread it out through the year.
Lindsay.
Ken and Dan, as you guys are talking about this, you know how important it is to have a really solid crew behind you. And I was talking to Bill Kimmel earlier, and he said, we're so proud because would you believe that from our crew, we only have one guy that is left from last season. That's Car Chief Jeff Stankiewicz. He said that we've gotten new guys, we've trained them, they've been fantastic, and they've fully helped us achieve this 7th championship.
Frank Kimmel sitting solidly in 4th. He's got Aaron Crocker right behind him in 5th. And just in front of him, Kyle Krisloff. It's a strong pack up front. Kinzer, Gerhardt, Krisloff, Kimmel, Crocker, Garrity, and Brandon all running together in the top 7. We're coming right back to Talladega after these words. We're back to Talladega Super Speedway in Talladega, Alabama. Nestled between the big cities of Atlanta and Birmingham. And that's Ken Weaver in the 20. Racing hard with Dexter Bean in the 05. Eric Darnell in the 39. On board with Weaver. Now, Weaver's had some tough luck here at this racetrack. First time he came here, he ended up spending about 6 days in the hospital. As he said, this place can literally knock your fillings out because it did that day. Second time he came here, spent about 4 days in the hospital. And then the next time he came here, finished well up in the field. So he's looking and hoping that the 4th time he's here, maybe could lead to a win.
That's definitely mixed results.
It's got to get better.
Lindsay, you have more on Ken Weaver.
That's actually similar to the story I was going to share, Ralph, because I was talking to Ken earlier, and he said, yeah, for some reason I just keep coming back. He said the last time I got into a wreck here, I went into the wall so fast that literally every single one of the fillings in the back of my mouth flew out. So I thought that was pretty funny, too.
Yep, I tell you, it takes a lot of courage to come back at a track like this after you take a hard hit. But if you're going to be a race car driver, you know you got to do it, not to be afraid. The best thing you do is come back to a track that you've had problems in. And I'm sure, Kenny, you've had tracks through the years that you've taken hard hits at, but you're not sure if you want to go back to.
No, I want to go back. That's the Tony Stewart's face all over the 19 car there?
Yeah, that is Ken. That is Keith Mertz's car, and Keith is from Paducah, Kentucky, and the Tony Stewart Foundation holds a big event in Paducah every year. In fact, it's getting ready to happen again later this month.
Wednesday, October 5th.
How you just happen to be going by any chance?
Just happen to know that.
There's Mark Gibson, you see back there in the top 10. Talked to him earlier, too. Again, we were talking earlier about race cars, and sometimes you just don't have a good qualifier, but you get in there, Kenny, and the cars just come alive, similar to what maybe you've had in the past. Maybe your car that you might race tomorrow.
Yeah, it won't run by itself, but it'll hang on pretty good. Someone's pushing it, it'll really go. That Tony's face is still just bugging me. I'm just, it's bad enough to look up in the mirror and see Tony's car, but see his face would really be scary.
Yeah. Yep. Well, obviously the picture on the hood doesn't have enough gristle around the chin area because Kenny never shaves.
It's like the Marlboro Man on the car there.
Yeah, it's way too good looking to be Stewart, huh?
We're 27 laps in. We had problems right there at the bat, off the bat, and then we've seen some good well, there.
Man.
We can still have some problems.
But Ryan Tyler there in the 48 car.
And right in the middle of that pack is a 25 of Billy Venturini. Billy running in 16th place right now. Says he's got one of those cars, Kenny, that if he can get some good drafting help, can have a fast race car.
Yeah, and Billy has really run good here the last couple years at the restrictor plate races, but was involved in that big wreck at Daytona where he actually wound up with a broken neck and obviously a destroyed car. And I talked to him just a little bit the other day, and they were fighting a skip in this one. They couldn't quite get out of it yet.
Bob, you got more for us on Billy's car?
Yeah, Schrader, you mentioned that big wreck at Daytona, of course, where he broke his vertebrae. This is the first time he is back on a restrictor plate track since that race in February. I talked to Billy about it. He said, you know what, when I went out for practice, when I went out for qualifying and then the draft session after qualifying, it didn't bother me at all. He said, when I walked into the track this morning, he said, to tell you the truth, I did get a little bit nervous. I got some butterflies in my stomach. I spoke to him just before he hopped in the car here today. He says, but then again, it's a restrictor plate track. The drafting is big time here. You're side by side almost the entire way. He says you always have some butterflies here, but right now, Billy running very well. He pitted early on, so he's trying to make his way back through the field.
Yeah, Bob, he told me, he goes, you know what? He says, I'm just not smart enough to be scared. He said mental toughness has always been a strength for him, and he tries not to overanalyze things and think about it too much. You just got to go out and do your job.
Yeah, I don't know about most of the drivers. I don't know for sure about the mental toughness, but the not smart enough to be scared really comes into play.
Near and dear to your heart there, Kenny?
Yes.
All right, let's check back up towards the front of the field and see what's going on as we look from Mike Garrity's car. Mike having a good run right now, the number 4 up to 6th position. And there's our race leader, the same guy who led us to the green flag earlier today, Craig Kinzer. There's Garrity on the inside, the white car with the blue numbers. Different paint scheme for them this week.
Garrity 6 right now. It looks like he lost that lead draft, which really is not what you want. You lose that lead draft and you get back there with the rest of the pack. Again, you see that group of 10 cars coming up. When them cars get together, they will catch that lead draft. But unfortunately, he lost that 3-car lead draft, and he's kind of fading back there just a little bit.
And diving on the inside of him was Bernie Lamar, the driver out of Northern California. That's the yellow car with the 12 on the door. And Bernie having a good run. That youngster has been running very well out on the West Coast in a lot of the NASCAR regional series out there. Sitting in 10th, should be up to about 9th now. And they come back across the scoring line. There's Bernie. With more on Bernie Lamar, here's Lindsay.
Thanks, guys. You know, Bernie is running for Kevin Harvick's team. I talked to him earlier. He said the best advice that Kevin passed on to him before this race, he said, hey, donate blood before the race. You got to have patience, but that was the best advice that other drivers gave me when I first ran Talladega. So he says out of all the lessons in the world, patience is the most important, and Kevin Harvick also happens to be spotting for him up there today.
5 seconds is a separation between the 2 packs, the lead pack and then this group that you're watching here. And then this 3rd pack starting to close up on them.
These guys are dicing around. They need to, this is a point of the race where you need to find a partner, a car that really goes good with you, am I right, Kenny? And then you need to find him. If your spotter tells you, hey, you're a second faster that lap or half a second, that's the guy you need to stay with to work your way to the front.
Right, and we see Brian Tyler there, you know, a very good open wheel racer, has won a tremendous number of races. Been running with the ARCA Series some this year. I believe he sat on the pole at DuQuoin, Illinois for the race there, and just good to see him out here.
Yep, doing a great job in that Eagle Castle winery car. Talked to him earlier. He said, I went out here, I practiced, I qualified, and I told Richie Woodland, the car owner, this is boring. I just don't understand what you guys do. He said, then I went out in happy hour. He said, I came out, he unstrapped out of happy hour. I was there when he came out, big smile on his face. He said, that's fun. That's what I'm talking about. Car bouncing right, car bouncing left. You go in down in the corner sideways. I'm so used to that. So this guy's used to being sideways, and he likes excitement. So once he got in a bundle of cars here, he found out how exciting these super speedways could really be.
David Reagan's in the 90 in 16th, and Brandon Knupp in the number 96 runs along with them in 17th. They put another lap in the book here at Talladega Super Speedway, and we'll come right back here on Speed for more of the Food World 300. Well, the Food World 300 scoring sheet's going to show that 10 car in first place for the majority of the beginning of this race, because he's led every lap since we went green here today. Craig Kinzer won the pole and has been out front all afternoon long.
These these 5 cars appear to be the class of the field right now this early in the game. Again, you got a Hendricks motor, a Bobby Gearhart, a Hendricks motor, a Joe Ryan, and an Everham motor. So you got some really good horsepower underneath these hoods, good aerodynamic packages, and these cars will stand out this early in the race. As the race goes on, the cars bunch back up, it may change a little bit, but these are really dominant cars this early in the day.
And that's Aaron Crocker sitting in 5th in that red number 98, right behind the red 46 of Frank Kimmel, and now 7-time national champion. And Ray Evernham, of course, here spotting for Aaron Crocker, and he's got to be thrilled, Kenny, with what he is seeing right now out of Aaron Crocker, doing exactly what he told me this morning he wanted her to do. Pick a lane and stay there all day long and just learn. And when you're running behind a 7-time national champ, that's a great way to learn. Let's check in with Bob Dillman.
Well, you're absolutely right, Ralph. They've been talking to Aaron Crocker the entire race. In fact, Ray came over the headset and said, hey, Chris, let me talk to her during the entire race. Right now, he's just saying, hey, Aaron, keep on doing what you're doing. You're driving away right now and doing a good job. Do not pull out. So right now, Aaron very comfortable inside that race car with Ray Evernham on top of the stand spotting for her.
Oh, you're exactly right. Don't pull out is the word, because there's no one behind her. She needs to stay in single file behind Frank Kimmel, learn a little bit about the super speedways, and stay in that air. It's so important to stay in that air in that car in front of you, because if she gets a gap between her and Frank Kimmel of some 10 car lengths, she could lose the draft and she'll go back in a hurry. So she really needs to stay planted to Frank's bumper, and I'm sure Ray Evernham's on the radio telling her exactly that.
The top 5 have closed tightened back up to one another. They had spread out there just a little bit, so they've tightened back up quite a bit.
Learning a lot about patience today. Don, you have something for us on Frank Kimmel?
Well, I really do. Frank Kimmel, if there's one variable he just doesn't have to deal with anymore in this business, it's confidence. I talked to him about it just earlier. He said that's just one thing I don't have to deal with, confidence. I'm really confident in my ability to drive these race cars. Yeah, I'm 43 years old, and I've been doing this a long, long time. And while these other drivers, you're just talking about Aaron Crocker, out there building confidence, getting experience, that's all very important. But Frank Kimmel, he's already got that. He's got the confidence. He knows it. Just one variable he doesn't have to deal with. And, you know, Schrader, I'm thinking confidence is pretty important in the driver's seat.
Well, it most definitely is, but what we see with a lot of these young drivers when they come in here, they've already got the confidence. They might not have the experience, but they got the confidence, and a lot of them, you know, back it up.
Looks like Aaron runs a little bit wide when she gets into the corners. Is she just trying to, is she almost carrying too much speed in the corners there behind Frank, so she's trying to slow herself down without getting out of the throttle?
I would say that she's just searching around and seeing what the car will do different places.
Yep, and sometimes a car will overheat a little bit on you, guys, and maybe she's working the air a little bit. Ray's telling her in the corner, stick your nose out there, get a little air through that radiator, cool it down till we can get some tape off that nose. That could be a possibility, too. As you see, she is about a half a car length higher than Frank Kimmel through the corners.
Unfortunately for Walt Brandon, his day came to an end a little bit early, Bob.
Yeah, I want to give kudos to Walt Brandon because he was running 7th when his car developed some sort of problem. I know you're disappointed what happened.
Well, you know, we're riding back there in 7th, just riding. You know, after all that pack got spread out in a good line there, we're running good and come right up there to the front. We're going to wait to the end to really do anything. They said I was the fastest car on the track, so we were so excited. And, you know, my teammate, Brad Maggard, he got the race early, and it's good to hear he's okay. But, you know, it's just one of those things. You got to come out here with a smile. We've had a good year. We started off bad, got better, and you know, we're hoping to come out here with a bang, and I just got to thank everybody, Brad Maggard and the whole team, and SPS, and, you know, Mike Yeggie's built some good engines this year. I hate it went like that, but we were running good.
Walt Brandon, one of the hot shots from the late model ranks in Georgia. He hopes to be back here in ARCA next year, possibly with Brad Maggard. He also has some ties to Robert Yates Racing, and guess what? Bill Elliott is a big fan of his as well.
And should be. Walt Brandon, he got his career started off with the Legends cars, doing a great job with the series this year. Leaders working their way through some traffic. And Craig Kinzer still out in front, showing them all the way. It's Kinzer, Gerhardt, and Krisloff with Kimmel and Crocker giving chase here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Wednesday night on Speed, an all-new series. Backseat drivers. Marty Smith and Shannon Spake race through the hottest topics and rumors on and off the track. Rapid fire, no holds barred, and no topic is off limits. Backseat drivers, Wednesday night at 7, only on Speed. Walking through the garage area early today, Dan, most of the crew chiefs telling me pit stop somewhere between 45 to 55, give or take. So should be getting close to that, I would think.
Exactly. Listen to the radio, Ray Abraham telling Aaron, hey, a few more laps, we're going to be coming in, but we're talking to the 10 car. The 10 car says that he's staying out, so we're not staying out with the 10 car. So on the radio, they're talking the 10 car may stay out a few more laps, but we are getting real close to pit stops.
Kenny, is this a 2-tire track, a 4-tire track? Which direction do you have to go there?
Well, with 22-gallon tanks, I would think that they will put, and full load, needing to completely fill it up, 2 cans of fuel. I would think they would elect to go to the 4 tires in case later on they get in a position where they can just put 1 can in and do 2 tires. I would think this first stop would be a 4-tire stop.
How much difference do you feel in the car between 2 and 4 tires?
Not a whole lot here. Feel quite a bit more at Daytona, not as much here. The track's such a big radius, and with the 33-degree banking, that the tire grip it just isn't that big an issue most time.
Earlier today, I caught a glimpse of Brian Tyler's car. Looked like maybe it had a little bit of sheet metal loose, and it looks like he's going to get called down to the pit lane to come in and fix it.
I thought I saw something. It was in front of the rear.
Yeah, on the right front, I think it is.
Yeah,
there it is. It looks like it got a lot worse.
It's actually the bottom of the front fender and the bottom of the door that's peeled loose. That's going to have to be forced back down. Then going to have to stick a couple rivets or something in it. So this is going to be a costly stop.
This could take a lap or so, which could certainly cost him. You're looking at about 50 to 51 seconds a lap around here. And even at these speeds, not the fastest Brian Tyler's ever gone in a race car. He ran an IRL lap at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at over 238 miles an hour back in 1999. So he's used to these high speeds. Of course, the former USAC National Sprint Car Champion. Well, the 5 car still having a good day, doing exactly what he wants, Don. Sitting in second. Got his young stablemate right behind him, who he's teaching, in Kyle Krisloff, and he's got a young hot shoe just in front of him, Craig Kinzer, who he's just waiting to try to get around.
Actually, Ralph, I think he'd rather be leading right now because the car is beginning to get a little hot. They have climbed up to 230 and even closer to 240, and that's why you see Bobby Gerhart stepping out of line every now and then, trying to break that draft from the 10 car to try to cool. Every time he steps out of line, they can get the car down to about 210. Then when he gets back in line and tucks under the 10 car, the temperature grows on that car. They're getting a little concerned. They're hoping to come down pit road very, very soon. They want to pull some tape on that car, change a couple of tires, and put some gas in it, and go again.
Kenny, he's about a car length or so behind Craig Kinzer right now. How far back do you have to be before you start to get enough cool air in there to change the temperature?
Oh, you have to be back quite a ways. He would have to be back basically out of the draft, because the draft is that gap in the air that you're not running up against it. So he would have to be back quite a bit.
Good battle here as you go on board with Mike Garrity. He's fighting with Bernie Lamar for 8th. That's Bernie in the yellow 12, right there on the outside. And Garrity running on the bottom in the white number 4. And they got the 19 in there too with Mert. Oh, contact there.
Yeah, you see, that stuff just doesn't quite need to happen when there's only 2 of you in this real wide racetrack.
You're exactly right, and really it slows them way down. It's so important to get in single file and work with the guy. Get your spotter to work with the guy in front of you and tell him, say, hey, let's get single file. You go front, I go back. Let's catch that pack. Let's not sit there and run side by side like they're doing, because it'll really slow you down.
And that's Bean in the 05, getting around Garrity.
But that's just experience, guys, and that comes with years and years of experience of coming here knowing that you can't win the race, and if you let a guy buy you and get single file, it's a big help.
Ken Weaver is on pit lane. Lindsay.
Ken Weaver, who is thankful to not be in the wall yet, as we told you the story earlier. He's getting fuel, right side tires, and he is gone.
2 tires and a full tank of fuel. So we'll just have to see. When Brian Tyler came in, even though they spent a little extra time on the right side fastening that sheet metal back, they elected to put on 4 tires anyway.
Mike Garrity giving us this view as he chases down Bean.
This is exactly what these guys need to be doing. It's a battle for 8th place. They were dicing back and forth earlier, inside, outside, and it really slows the cars down. You need to get single file, run that pack down in front of you, look for that air in front of them, and get caught back up, because racing here this early in the game doesn't do much anything.
Eric Darnell has made a pit stop in the 39. He's back out on the racetrack. And then an 02 Pontiac of Dexter Bean. Get a good look at that, because next year that car's body will no longer be allowed in the ARCA REMAX Series. And the leader should be making pit stops soon, as we go 3 wide on the front stretch. And look at this. Here comes Kyle Krisloff on the inside of Gerhardt, and Kimmel trying to push past as well.
They use that 13 car as a peg, and Bobby Gerhardt looked to the outside of Kyle, and he needs to get around him, because you see Frank Kimmel and Aaron Crocker just reel him right in when them cars get too wide. They punch a big hole in the air when you get them too wide like that. So them guys, Frank and Aaron, it's just what they wanted to see.
Krisloff's going to get caught in a pick here now, as it looks like he's going to get hung in the middle. Oh, we got one spinning around on the pit lane. That's Mert.
Keith Mert. Wow. Running in the top 10, not what Keith wanted to see there.
Well, he was involved in a couple of those little bumping incidents coming down the...
I would think if he can get it restarted, we probably won't see a yellow, but they will obviously not let it sit there. Very hard when you first coming in to pit road Daytona or Talladega to judge your speed and get slowed down where you have to be at pit road speed.
It's like exactly what happened. He slowed down, got spun in the grass, sitting on the grass, probably hoping for a caution, but I'm sure ARCA's telling his spotter, get him out of there.
Well, we go on board with Kimmel, and the yellow is out, so we'll be back to catch the pits after this. Second caution of the day here at Talladega, and we're getting ready for pit stops with the leaders.
And this was a yellow. I mean, everybody was right there as far as coming in for green flag stops, 49 laps. So this is probably a relief to a lot of these teams.
Bobby Gerhardt, we know, in that gold Lucas-backed entry, needed a pit stop to help cool his motor down. And he was getting a lot of heat from his teammate, which happens to be the Dytech.com machine of Kyle Krisloff right behind him.
We see some yellow tape coming off the front of the 7 car.
You see it right there.
Both sides.
Sometimes not good, because that will slow the race car down. You know, that tape on the front of that keeps the air from going through the grill, through the radiator. It forces the car over the hood of the race car, which does create a little bit more downforce, but we really, the worst evil of it is to get it through the grill, and it does slow the race car down in most cases. So they may fix that when they come in for a pit stop here.
And a little bit of an opening will change the car dramatically, will it not?
Oh, the more tape on the front, besides affecting the cooling of the engine, it affects the speed of the car, just because of what Dan was saying, the air that gets trapped underneath there. It also affects the handling, because it puts more air on the front of the car, which makes the front end more responsive, makes the car turn better. Here we see the whole lead group hanging to the left on the pit road, and this will be interesting to see. Now, these are all basically good, experienced crews, so I don't think there'll be a big shake-up here unless someone opts for 2 tires.
Kimmel's in, Lindsay.
Frank Kimmel in the 46 Ford pulls down into his pit stop. He will get 4 fresh tires and fuel. He came in at 4th position. Don.
The Lucas Oil Chevrolet is in as well. Little different strategy here. They're just going with 2 tires. It'll be the left side tires. They'll pull some tape off that front grille. You guys just talked about that. Put some gas in it, and the Lucas Oil Chevrolet should be underway. Bob Dillner.
Part of Joe Nemechek's Cup crew and part of Scott Riggs' Cup crew. Crewing, changing tires, a 4-tire stop for Craig Kinzer. It will be those tires and fuel, and that's it. No adjustments for Kinzer.
Looks like all 3 of them cars extremely well pit stops. Looks like possibly the 98 car of Aaron Crocker being pushed out, lost his position there, but she's back underway. So
yeah,
didn't hurt too bad.
And she beat Kimmel out, and she also beat Kyle Krisloff out, so she did gain 2 spots, Kenny. That was a great stop.
Yes, it was.
Probably really been a real good stop if maybe she stalled the motor when she got ready to leave and they had to push her off there, but I'm sure they'll be happy with that.
And Frank Kimmel gives us his view, and Frank will come out in 4th. So the leaders have taken care of first of what we expect to be 2 main stops here today. Craig Kinzer continues to lead. Stay with us. We're back to Talladega, and here comes Kyle Krislov up the inside of Frank Kimmel, and getting right in his draft is Bernie Lamar in the 12.
We got a couple new players there, Bernie Lamar and Ken Weaver.
Bernie Lamar gets past him as well, and Weaver gets through there, and Garrity is closing back up. Garrity sitting in about 6th position. Lindsay.
I talked to Bernie Lamar earlier. He was all pumped up about this race. You know, obviously he hasn't had experience here at Talladega or in the ARCA Series, but he has won 2 of the last 3 NASCAR West Series races that he is running. And he said he was just ready to get out here, hoping to draft with Kyle Kinzer.
Watching Gerhardt lead the field through 3 and 4.
Listening to Ray Abraham talk to Aaron, he says, get in line. He said, there's 3 of you that are going to break away for the pack. I've been listening to Ray, monitoring the last 15, 20 laps, and just about everything Ray tells her on the radio is coming true. He's seen enough of this restrictor plate racing. He knows what's going to happen. He's been telling her, stay in line, go to the inside, go to the outside. You know, let that guy hang out on the outside, and sure enough, everything he says surely comes true. And that's got to give a driver a lot of confidence, Kenny. As a driver on a super speedway for the first time like this, it's definitely got to be a world of confidence.
Oh, most definitely. But you know, something we're seeing with Craig Kinzer right now, who's up to 13th, a real fast car when it gets stuck in the pack, back in the pack a little bit, it's a lot of times it's harder to come through there. I mean, where all these cars are so dependent on the air from the cars around them that the slower cars will slow down real fast cars sometimes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It all has to do with the configuration of the cowl and the airbox and how your car runs in the air with other cars. And like you say, you could have a really fast car, but sometimes if it don't suck up quite like you like it, you hear the term suck up, it means that your car is able to actually pull right up on the bumper of that car in front of you and then drive by them. And that's so important on the super speedway here. Some cars do, some cars don't. We have a 1,500-pound spring rule here at ARCA, and a 1,500-pound springs in the front, 450-pound springs in the back. You actually have to rent the springs from ARCA. They've done a deal with Landrum Spring Company and the rear springs of these race cars to where you have to run a 450 spring. You rent the springs before the race, so all the cars come to the racetrack. They take their springs out. ARCA does an agreement with them. You rent the springs for $50 each per race, and also the rear shocks on the back have to be rented from Bilstein. And so they really pretty much have a ruling on what springs and shocks you can run. So it does help keep the cars a little bit more equal.
There's Craig Kinzer in the 0 car, the Army Rally's back entry, the white machine on the outside, coming up through the field. He's gotten around Billy Venturini now. That'll put him up to about 11th as he continues to charge up through the field. Watching him now from on board Johnny Leonard's car. Also, the 08 of Jason Hedleski is done for the day with a broken A-arm. That report coming out of the pits. You can see some signaling from Brandon Up as they work the draft. He's got Dexter Bean behind him in the 05 and the 91 of Christy Passmore. And here comes Kinzer to the outside.
Kinzer strong when he keeps that run going. He needs to keep it rolling. As you see, he stays right in the gas and drives around the outside of the car.
Boy, that car whipped around there, didn't it? It is strong on the outside by itself.
Yeah, yes it is.
And you mentioned something too, Ralph, communication, signaling. Kenny, that's so important on a super speedway. We don't rely on our spotters 100% to drive us around this racetrack. We use hand signals, is that right?
Yeah, you use hand signals a lot to, tell someone if you need a break, get off you just a little bit. Your car might be a little bit loose, or you're getting ready to go to the inside or the outside of somebody. We also use hand signals quite a bit to tell one another when we're pretty mad at each other, but we've been getting fined for that more lately, so that
doesn't work too well.
Cut out some, yes.
You got to keep your hand in the car when we do these hand signals. That's so important.
Christy Passmore even utilizing Yates power today, so you know she's got a good motor. And just while we've been watching him, Craig Kinzer has whistled past about half a dozen cars and puts himself solidly up in the top 10 and then just breaks away from them, Kenny.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we're going to find out here real quick. And if we stay green here, we're going to find out as soon as Craig gets to how Craig runs up to those top 5 cars. If Craig runs right up there and assumes his position back in the front, okay.
Game over, huh? Is that what you're thinking?
Then we know. I mean, we see right now where he is. He's coming up our net group there that Frank's leading, 4 of them. We'll see what he does with this group real quick, which as he kind of heads up to the high side, kind of makes me think that he's fairly confident he can go that way. We'll see what he does with this group, and that's going to tell us a lot.
Man, you're right, Kenny. Look how he just turns at the bottom of the racetrack, and that car just rockets around them race cars. It's so good. That car is so good in the air, and he's got, of course, Hendrick's horsepower underneath that engine, that hood. It's really, really making a difference on his car.
Anywhere he wants to go as he goes past Craig Butts out of Grove Hill, Alabama in the 88. Now Mike Garrity sees him looming in the mirror. And that is going to be a hard car to keep behind you. And just in front of Garrity is Frank Kimmel. And here comes Kinzer to the bottom. And he's going to try to blow right by him down the backstretch. And we'll be right back for more after this. Craig Kinzer has gotten past Mike Garrity. He's up to 6th. Now he's working on Frank Kimmel. This will put him back inside the top 5. After going to 15th when the race went back to green due to a penalty for not blending back out onto the racetrack the right way.
Man, that car just looks like it's sucked down to the racetrack. It really looks good on the racetrack, don't it, Kenny?
Oh, it does. It looks very good.
You can see how level it is. The front valence area right here is he's real level as it goes through the corners. It doesn't lay over on the right front corner, and that's so important here because you don't want that left front to come up where you suck air up underneath the cars. You see, they run through the corner right here. You don't see that left front valence lifting up very much at all. Very important on a super speedway to keep that air out from underneath that race car because that's what slows you down in the corners here. You don't want to lose hardly any RPM. A good race car here on a super speedway will lose 25 RPM maybe, you know, a really good one. At least the ones I've had. I don't know about the ones you've had, but you lose more than 50 or 75 RPM in the corner, and it really hurts you.
Closing in now on Bernie Lamar. Lamar holds down 4th in that yellow car, and look at how rapidly he closes up on Bernie. Bernie, by the way, also running in NASCAR's AutoZone Elite Division for the Southwest Series. And he's 3rd in the point standings there. Been a great season for Bernie.
Bernie having shaver engines in that race car. He was 2nd here in testing. It's his first time here on a super speedway. He's doing an outstanding job here today. I'm sure Kevin Harvick's on the radio there, helping him work his way through this pack and do the right thing and be there at the end.
Well, while Kinzer works his way past Bernie for 4th, Bobby Gerhardt continues to lead. How's that car performing now, Don, that he's out front in clean air?
Well, Ralph, drivers love to be up front, running up front, and so does that car. The minute he got out front and after they took the tape off, the motor or temperature on the engine went right down to about 210. So he's back to the normal range, feeling really good. He thinks they can stay right where they are. There's been a lot of strategy down here. Billy Gerhardt, his brother, has been dancing back and forth between the 7 and the 5 car. I asked him what they're talking about. He just said with a smile, strategy and what we'll do next. What they'll probably have to do next is fend off that 10 car, that open wheeler, Craig Kinzer, because he's on the way.
He's right there. I talked with Craig this morning. Said, do you know what your plans are for next year? He said, well, sprint car racing will still be a part of my schedule, but I'm definitely planning on trying to do more stock car racing. What it will be, who will be with, and what series is not 100% nailed down yet, but he's not done racing on the dirt just yet. But we'll probably see a lot more of him behind the wheel of a stock car or a truck possibly or something along those lines here next year. And the way he's performed every time he's been behind the wheel of one, it's no surprise, Kenny, that a lot of people are interested in getting Craig Kinzer full time.
Well, I know they are, and I think MB2 does have the option to run Craig quite a bit. I know they're moving into a new facility that has plenty of room to put another program in there. You know, next year with the 2 Cup cars plus Boris said another Cup car, and then whatever they do with Craig. So they're gearing up for the future, that's for sure.
Well, Don, the ties with that team go deep with the Kinzers. Jay Fry, who is involved with that organization, is a longtime friend of Steve Kinzer, Craig's father, from back when Jay was working with Quaker State. And, of course, they were, or Valvoline, I guess it was back then, that was involved with Steve Kinzer. And that's how the association became. Now, Craig getting a good opportunity.
As you see, Craig's car, as dominant as it is, guys, when he caught this pack of good, really good cars up there in the top three, he wasn't quite able to drive around them as easily as he was with the guys in the back. Because,
well, does he need to? I mean, I guess it would be one of the questions that comes up too. Or is he good just now sitting back here in fourth, just cruising a little bit?
Need one or two different things. Yeah, he wants to.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
He's looked a couple times. He caught that pack. He looked at the outside, and really, he just didn't have the motor or the aerodynamics just to pull around him at the right time. And again, it's all about that car that's directly in front of you. He might be a lot better with Aaron in front of him or with Bobby Gerhardt in front of him. So you really don't know. So when these cars mix it up a little bit, you may see him move forward. I don't think he's just sitting back there because he can't pass him.
Or how about Bernie Lamar behind him? If he can get Bernie to catch up to him and help push him past Kyle.
Exactly right. And I think the key is does Bernie have enough to really help him? Because Bernie's been hanging back there, just hanging on to that lead draft, but not really able to suck up. So I don't know if he's got an ability to do it.
It's going to be just like this when Kyle pulls out of line and Craig's able to go with go with Kyle. When it gets like that and the four cars are fairly evenly matched, then it's, you really need a little bit of help.
These guys are racing here really hard, I tell you.
Oh, we got a problem on the front stretch. The 45 and Johnny Leonard is involved as well.
Looks like Johnny may have lost his brakes. There he goes.
Richardson in that 45. Robert Richardson out of McKinney, Texas.
See the window net come out. Johnny Leonard, good news.
So that's our third caution of the day.
And this will also put, if we have leader pit stops, we'll put fuel out of the question.
It's like to run around traffic. Just a log jam right there with Mark Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson gets into the wall and then just straightened back out and continues on.
It's like he got the nose of the Williams brother lumber car. Unfortunate.
Boy, he was completely facing the wrong way and then got turned back around from the rest of the cars crashing and continued on.
See, that's Eric Darnell there in the 39 car did a very good job of checking up and assessing the situation and getting it through.
Yep, you're exactly right. Johnny Leonard in the Boca Bay car. Nowhere to go. Blind. Yep.
And Johnny will be crawling out of the car. Well, while they clean this one up, we'll take care of some more business and come back to show you more green flag laps here at Talladega. Stay with us on Speed. Under our third caution of the day here at Talladega, Frank Kimmel sits back in sixth. If you take a look at our race summary with 72, the scheduled 113 laps completed. 17 laps have been under caution so far today. We've had 3 lead changes, and Bobby Gerhardt in his 200th ARCA REMAX Series start leads. The driver who won the season opener at Daytona, looking to sweep the super speedways this year. Gerhardt's car is not necessarily 100%, Dan.
No, he's not real happy with it. Talking about possibly still overheating a little bit. Not sure what they want to do. Talking about maybe coming in this time by and taking some fuel and 4 tires. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Bob Dillner, how about pit strategy at this stage of the game?
Well, Danny's talking about fuel and 4 tires. I'm not so sure you're going to see tires down my end of pit road where the 2 cars that are front are at right now, talking about Craig Kinzer and also Aaron Crocker. I think what you're going to see down here is a little fuel only stop and go.
Go for track position, Kenny? Would you be okay with that?
Well, you know, we just saw Craig ran up to fourth there fairly easy, and then it got quite a bit harder. So, you know, if you're looking at one of those guys, the first 4 or 5 cars, 6 cars, and you're racing one another, track position is pretty big.
Would he have used up his tires getting there?
No. But Hoosier has brought some really good tires here that run real good for a long time. So tires haven't been a very big factor.
All right, here we go with pit stops. Let's head first to Lindsay.
Bernie Lamar and the number 12 Chevy has come in. His crew will only give him fuel. That's the chance they don't want to gamble with a good thing. Next door, Kimmel taking 2 tires and a chassis adjustment. Don?
Bobby Gearhart's going to go with right side tires only. Remember, they changed the left sides on the last stop. Right sides only. Some gas and go. Bobby D.
Gas and go. Erin Crocker is away. She makes it off a pit road first. Little trouble for Craig Kinzer on this side of pit road as he stalled his race car.
Well, let's make sure everybody stays below that blend line this time, too.
They had to push Craig's car back, too. It was a little bit over the line. They pushed him back, and then he had a little bit of problem leaving. But he's leaving in 3rd place, I believe, and that's sure not a problem for him.
It's like Kinzer, Gearhart, Kristoff, but it looked like that Kyle beat Bobby Gearhart off pit row. I don't know. I'm sure they'll be communicating about that, but Rick Kyle did beat Bobby off pit row. Bobby taking right side tires, earlier communication. Not sure if he wanted to take 4 or not, but he's seen some of these guys just taking 2 and a few of them just taking fuel, so he knew it was important just to get back off the pit road.
Well, this time Kinzer didn't blend out until he got all the way around to the backstretch. I assume that's the proper way to do it, Kenny?
Hey, that's good, sharp kid. That'll be a one-time mistake.
So he will tuck in behind Bernie Lamar, who's sitting right behind Aaron Crocker. Kristoff, Gerhard, Garrity, Passmore behind them. Let's take a look back at what we've seen so far here today at the Food World 300, the season finale for the ARCA REMAX Series. Craig Kinzer led the field to the line from the pole, but then we have this big wreck. Rack Maggard, the hard hit. The 64 also took out Eric Almirola and a handful of others. One more look as he pounds into the side of Bobby East's car. You can see the damage to Maggart's, and then some other cars involved in it as well, including Williams in the 95. Joey Miller caught up, who finished 2nd in the points this year. On the restart, watch the 0 car. Everybody stacks up. This was later in the race. He goes sliding into the infield, but we were able to stay green. And then this is why we're under our 3rd caution. Gibson gets turned all the way around, then gets plowed into by Johnny Leonard, which actually turns him back around. Watch Johnny. Man. Kenny, you said to me during the break, there's a trick to getting through a big wreck like that is trying to slow down without getting hit from behind.
You want to go through the wrecks as slow as you can to give yourself as much time as you can to assess your options. Sometimes, you know, you first check up and then you got to gas it up because you see your options are closing up. But, you know, there was a lot of room there on the inside, but not a lot. He had a lot of speed, and it would have been hard to get down there.
There's Ken Weaver in the 20 car. Now, we showed you the very beginning of the race, a whole bunch of first-timers here at Talladega. Those that have yellow marks by their name are already out of it. A lot of them are caught up in incidents, not necessarily their own fault, such as Eric Almirola and Joey Miller.
Bobby East.
Yeah, Bobby East. Chad McCumbee had problems with his car. So a lot of them, however, still in the hunt here today and way up in the race as well.
Like the first 3?
Like the first 3. Crocker, Lamar, and Craig Kinzer.
We talked about being right place, right time. Unfortunately, you can have a good race car and be doing all the right things, and a guy maybe a lap down just make the wrong move and take you out. So that's just part of racing at super speedways.
Another name we haven't talked much about, but it was on that list, is David Reagan, who sits in 9th in the number 90. There goes David, that red 90. He's got a good race car today. He's had a good season, some wins, getting his first taste of the Talladega Super Speedway. Stay with us. Coming back for more here on Speed. Speed Channel's coverage of the ARCA REMAX Series is brought to you by Aaron Sales and Lease Ownership. Do the math. Nobody beats Aaron's. And by Family Guy presents Stewie Griffin, The Untold Story, all new and only on DVD. Frank Kimmel having a pretty good day. He's already racked up the championship for his 7th time in his career. Right now he sits in 11th though, Lindsay.
Yeah, he has slipped. He's not too happy about that. And when you talk about slip, that's what one of his crew members did over pit wall during that last pit stop. Because of that, ARCA officials made Frank Kimmel stay 15 extra seconds here on pit row. He lost a lot of track position. And right next door in the 20 pit, Ken Weaver went past his pit sign. It caused them to lose a bit of time as well. Don?
Thanks, Lindsay. The 5-car Bobby Gerhart and the 7 of Kyle Krisloff had similar strategies on pit road. Both took right side tires only. However, the backup machine on the main team of 5, Kyle Krisloff beat the 5 of Bobby Gerhart off pit road. Apparently, the 5-car had some trouble with the lug nuts on the right side. I asked Billy Gerhart about it, the crew chief, and he said, well, the lug nuts kind of hung up over on that 5-car. That's why we were slow getting off. I will tell you, though, there are some Hendrick Motorsport jerseys working on the 7-car down here on pit road. Maybe that had something to do with it too. Bob Dillon.
Donnie, a possible problem for our leader, Erin Crocker. Her radio is beeping right now. What that usually indicates is that her battery in that car for that radio is a little bit low. So Ray Evernham and Chris Andrews, the crew chief for that team, have come over the radio and said, listen, Erin, do not talk anymore. We do not want you to use your radio. Allow us to talk to you, especially Ray, who is spotting for her during this race.
Very good point. What that does is when you can listen, it uses about half the battery on these radios when you listen, but if you talk, you actually have to transmit out. It does require a lot more energy, burns that battery down a lot quicker, so it's so important, like you say, Bob, to stay off the radio and just listen, and it'll last probably twice as long. I'm sure the next pit stop they come in, if they come in again, they'll be able to change that radio.
Scheduled for, what, 113 laps here today, and 76 completed.
Listen, and I tell you what a team that Frank Kimmel has, him and his brother Bill. Listen to the radio transmission. Bill said, guys, let's get up off your feet, get your heads up. You tripped, you know, we had a little problem on pit row, but there's a good chance we'll have to come down pit row again, so keep your heads up and we'll be okay. And Frank encouraged his team also, said, listen, the car was a little tight, we took a little extra time, we did what we had to do, hopefully it'll fix the tight in the car and we'll be able to drive it to the front. So that's what winning championships and teamwork is really about, guys.
Close finishes are a big part of the ARCA REMAX Series. We could see another one here today. Show you some of the closest ones of the year. Closest was probably on the dirt at DuQuoin. Well, actually, that was Toledo.
Yeah, Schrader, he was at Toledo, was you not? Was you racing with Kimmel this year?
He was there. I knew he was real close.
Yeah, well, the second one was even closer at the end of the year, just a few weeks back, Labor Day weekend.
Real close. I watched that on Speed while we were at
Did you enjoy it?
Fontana.
Did you enjoy that?
Yes, I did. Thought they got a little rough there at the end.
They did, didn't they?
Yeah, I was glad I was laid up out in Fontana right
Glad
then.
you wasn't there. You'd have been right in the mix of it, for sure.
I'm glad you said that Partis and I weren't rough.
No, you guys were.
Okay,
Gentle
we
as
were
could
okay.
be.
Okay.
Well, I didn't say that either.
I'm just not that rough. All right. We're going to try to get smoothly into this commercial break and see what we can do when we come back. The Food World 300 will continue on Speed after these words. Well, the folks at America's Pork Producers have been a huge part of our series here with the ARCA REMAX Series. Not only do they sponsor Frank Kimmel's number 46, but they feed the entire garage area every race weekend. Handing out free sandwiches, and let me tell you, they're good. Because look, there's Partis right there, chomping down as he does every week. And I hate to say it, Schrader, but I probably wasn't too far away from him because everybody lines
you
up there.
You had already beat me through the line,
man.
I'm sure.
They're great.
I visit with Frank and the boys a lot.
Do you?
Yeah.
Don't really like them, but the sandwiches are good, right?
No, I kind of even like them a little bit.
Good bunch, good food.
Getting ready to go back to green. Aaron Crocker will lead him to the green this time. Craig Kinzer Bernie Lamar right behind her as we go back to green.
Hold your lane. Hold your lane. Hold your lane. 10 cars with you.
That's Ray Evernham on the radio telling Aaron Crocker right where he wants her to go.
Good start. You're clear of that slow car. Just keep her to the floor. The 10 car and the 12 car with you. Okay, they're going to have a run when you get to the corner probably, but you pick the lane you want to be in and you just hold it there.
The 12 car of Bernie Lamar sitting there in third. Lindsay, what are they saying to Bernie?
Lance Deiters is his crew chief. He said Kevin Harvick has gotten on the radio and told him not to be such a worrywart, but they need to notice that Aaron Crocker is not great on restarts, so they're hoping that this is where he can make up his ground.
Krisolov to the inside, and here comes Kyle looking to take over third, and Gerhardt trying to come along with him in that gold number 5.
So important for Kyle Krisolov to have a good finish here today at Talladega. Not sure where he's going, not sure where his year's going to take him next year, but he really needs a good finish here today at Talladega. He was up in the mix many times, had opportunities to win races, but Kyle just couldn't put the whole thing together. It would be a great victory for him today, guys, to win here at Talladega.
Bernie's got no friends out there, Kenny. He's hung out to dry, and nobody's pushing the 12.
Well, you just have that sometimes in this business, you know. The 12 isn't one of the cars. It hasn't been that top 4 all day. Now here we see Craig getting underneath Aaron, and what they're thinking is a 10 car, everybody lines up with Craig because the 10 car has been the dominant car all day. So it's like, hey, he's going that way, so we're behind him anyway, so let's just follow him and get around Aaron.
3 wide through the tri-oval.
See Aaron Crocker hung out to dry on the outside there. She really needs to step back in line, but Ray Evernham on the radio saying, just stay cool, let these couple cars get by you, we'll get back in line, everything will be okay. We've still got some time left in this race. And that's what this is about for here, to come here, get experience, learn the draft, learn what to do, learn what not to do, and come out of here with a race car with all 4 wheels. It's so important for here today.
Ken Weaver is a lap down. He's sitting 4th on the racetrack, but actually is scored in 13th.
Ken is a lap down, just riding there, not really got enough to pull out front, but you know, you never know. There could be a little bump in action up front there, and he could maybe catch it and get his lap back, so he's going to try it.
Billy Venturini was hoping to come here to Talladega and have a great run, but unfortunately his day ends early, Don.
Yeah, Ralph, Billy, the car worked good for a while, not long enough. What happened?
I think the transmission took a dive on us. We started kind of poorly, but we had a good run. We were going. I worked topside real well. I hate starting back there because I ended up having to draft a whole bunch of people I'm not used to drafting with, and made it a little difficult at the beginning. Maybe I was being a little cautious. Draft got away a little bit. Man, there's some of these guys, they're crazy. They don't really know how to draft at all. So. But there's a bunch of them that know how to draft real well, and I just still love running this series. And I want to thank all my sponsors for a great year. My team did a great job. I'm glad that I'm healthy and back in the race car, and we had a heck of a finish to the season.
I'm glad you're healthy, too. Someone does not, apparently, though. You're wearing a Leukemia and Lymphoma Society decal on the hood. What's that all about?
Well, my grandfather was diagnosed with leukemia about...
That's Bill's dad, right?
Yep, Tony, the one who started it all for us. Our hearts go out to him, and he's in our thoughts and prayers. And just, if it wasn't for him, none of us would even be racing. So he got Dad started, and it's just a trickle-down effect. So our prayers go out to him.
Absolutely, as ours do as well. Billy Venturini is a third-generation racer from the Chicago, Illinois area.
Well, Bernie Lamar has been shuffled all the way back to 11th after restarting up in the top 3.
That car just not having exactly what it needs to really hang with the draft, guys. I don't know what you think, but he's had the opportunity where he's been up there in the top 3, top 4, but he just can't. Looks like it has a little problem really sucking up. You know, he just can't get right up and keep that good run. Sometimes it's unfortunate. Again, it's all about aerodynamics and cow work and what the nose does of that race car. So he'll just have to dance and hopefully get in the right line there the last few laps.
Doing a good job, though, as a driver, Kenny, working himself up there as best he can.
Yeah, it's a long way from being over yet. You know, we have almost 30 laps left, and there's just no telling what's going to happen. So as long as he keeps himself on the lead lap with leaders right inside there, we'll just have to see.
And we talked about David Reagan earlier today. There is the red number 90. doing a great job here today. David having won earlier this season, picking up victory at Lanier, grabbed a few poles, and has greatly impressed Jack Roush. I talked to Ken Reagan, former star in NASCAR's top division, and he was telling me today that David will definitely be doing some driving for Roush Racing next year. It looks like he's going to be sharing a truck with Mark Martin, and whatever Mark doesn't drive, David will. And that's a great opportunity for this young driver who's definitely earned everything he's achieved in his career.
Hey, David having a great run here today, starting 30th, up in the top 10 right now. He talked to me earlier. He said, Dan, really, my car's just a brick. It really doesn't go in the air that well. He said, we'll just do the best we can. He said, if I can stay out of trouble, I can work my way in the top 10. That would be like a victory for us today. So he's doing exactly that.
David Reagan sitting in 7th, but Craig Kinzer continues to lead at the front of the field. It's Kyle Krisloff, Bobby Gerhardt, and Aaron Crocker giving chase. The Food World 300 continues on speed after these words. Craig Kinzer continues to show the way here at Talladega. Kyle Krisloff tucked right in behind him. Talked with Kyle's dad, Steve Krisloff, here today. And he was telling me that it looks like Kyle will definitely be behind the wheel of a stock car somewhere next season. Not sure what's going to happen with the Hendrick Driver Development Program, how they're going to set that up in the future. But Steve says they definitely plan on keeping Kyle in stock cars.
Well, and he definitely, you know, had the opportunity to go some open wheel racing, I would think, if that's what they elected to do. But the stock car, the future in stock car racing right now looks maybe a little bit brighter, a little bit more secure.
Back in 8th position, pretty good fight going on. Frank Kimmel getting in there in front of Dexter Bean, who had the spot. Don, what are you hearing out of Frank Kimmel?
Well, nothing right now, but I'm going to tell you this anyway. Frank Kimmel's record 7 Series crown is an amazing thing, no doubt. But what's equally amazing is the way he did it. In 3 of the 7 titles he has earned, all he had to do was show up at the last race, which was true here at Talladega. In the other 4 championships, no attendance required in the season finale. That's how he has dominated. That's how he has won 7 Series championships. Nearly 9,000 laps led in competition overall, well over $3 million in career earnings. It's all the complete package. Our heartiest congratulations to the entire Tri-States Motorsports team and Frank Kimmel on this outstanding achievement.
He's up to 7th, got around Reagan. There's 3 wide down the backstretch. Here comes Lamar. He's picking up a few more, too.
Look at the 62 car, Justin Marks, the Petro Express car. Qualified 5th, guys. Spun out in happy hour. Hurt the left rear corner of the car. He had to start in the back of the field. Work his way back up to the front. Great run for him today in that shaver entry. Little Joe Gibbs development driver also going on here, a little bit of development stuff, and he's having a great run here today also.
Little tire mark in the right door. We've seen tire marks on quite a few of these cars.
Rubbing and racing.
Yeah.
I don't know about Talladega. Don't get in the habit of that. Little left rear damage there. You're right. Little rubber mark everywhere.
There. That was Lamar's 12.
See Justin Marks at the outside doing a great job.
Mike Garrity in the white 4. He holds down 5th position right now. Good run.
Good run for Mike Garrity. You know, Eddie Sharp's been the crew chief on that car all year. Talking to Eddie, he says it's been a challenge working with some different drivers. He got Stephen Wallace in the car and 2 or 3 other different drivers, but that car's always run up front. Got a hats off to Eddie for doing a great job, and obviously with different drivers, you have different personalities and different setups, and he's always been able to keep that car out front, and it's running great here at Talladega right now.
There's Mike. Visor up. Hands on the wheel. Looks relaxed on the wheel. That's a big thing, too, Kenny. You see a lot of guys just, boy, they're just white-knuckling that wheel. You can't do that. You got to keep your hands good and relaxed in there.
Yeah, most definitely. Holding that wheel real tight won't help steer that car. You don't need to hold that wheel that tight, but he looked real comfortable in there.
Kimmel right on the backside of the 88 of Butts. And Lamar tucking down onto the bottom. Here he comes.
Mike Garrity, 5th on back. Butts, Frank Kimmel running in 7th. Good top 10 pack right there.
Mike Garrity leads the second pack as they chase down the leaders. Kinzer, Krisloff, and Gerhardt and Crocker. Tomorrow on Speed, catch Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. Long before Robbie Gordon and Michael Waltrip got into it in Loudon, NASCAR legend Donnie Allison and rival Cale Yarborough duked it out on live TV. Donnie will be on hand to talk about this incident and more. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain tomorrow night at 9, only on Speed. Robin Miller will be one of the guest hosts on that show. Should be a good one.
That was the very first year that Daytona 500 was telecast live.
Yeah.
What an exciting ending.
Had the big snow up in the Northeast. A lot of folks stuck indoors. The ratings went through the roof, and stock car racing was never the same.
Yes. It was almost like, people might watch this.
Yeah. Might have something here. We got a good race brewing here with us today. Frank Kimmel taking you around Talladega at speed right now. He's working Garrity.
It looked like he loosened Garrity up a little bit there. Jumped to the outside and maybe get a run.
They've shuffled Butts back some. As Kimmel now tries to sneak in between. Well, he tucks right in back behind Garrity. I thought he was going to split Garrity and Weaver. Whoa, and he gets into Weaver a little bit and shoves Weaver down.
Ken Weaver a lap down, just trying to fight as hard as he can to keep that lap, keep up front there in case the caution comes out. But I'm sure these guys really don't want him right where he's at with some 30 laps or so left of his race.
He's got no chance of being there and getting his lap back because he's got to be ahead of Craig Kinzer to get his lap back, and Craig Kinzer is way up there. So you're best off not to be involved in that, and then if they wreck, you just take advantage of it.
Yep.
Leader crosses the start-finish line now, and we got a little ways back, a few seconds back, probably about 5 or 6 seconds back before we get to that second pack where Garrity leads it. Boy, Craig Kinzer doing a tremendous job here today, Bob.
He is doing a tremendous job. And you talk about guys like Craig Kinzer out there white-knuckling it around this racetrack. Well, the guys on the crew, not white-knuckling it at all. What are they doing? You'd think they'd be paying attention to their race car. No, they're watching the big game between the Yankees and the Red Sox down here. And all I have to say is, Ralph, and I'm sorry, Shifty, our pit producer for this, go Bo Sox.
Yeah, Lions and Giants went out a long time ago. I got no horse in that race. Kinzer, in talking to his crew earlier today, I said, Craig, what time you got to leave to get to the Grove right after the race? He said, yeah, and his crew all said, no, he ain't going to make it. I said, why? What's the problem? The race going to end too late? They said, no, he's going to be spending too much time in victory lane today. And you know what? That might be the case. If he's going to make the start at Williams Grove, he was pretty much going to need to get out of here as quick as he could, get on a plane and get up there.
Or Ken Weaver, as you see, he's falling back a little bit again. He is a lap down. Probably needs to let this pack by him, fall in the back, and just hope for caution. Like Kenny says, not a need to get up there and shuffle with them guys this late in the race. 19 laps to go. He needs to just pull and get out of the way, in my opinion.
Well, and Butts is trapped in the middle there. Butts is in that 88 car, and he's running in 8th, and he's on the lead lap. Weaver and Tyler are racing there with them, the 20 and the 48, and they're both a lap down. They're the two cars, the next two cars, the first two cars, one lap down, I should say. And there's Bernie Lamar back up to 6th as he tucks in behind Kimmel with Garrity behind him.
These guys, this is the second pack. Separation between them two packs is increasing every lap. Unfortunately, they've lost the lead pack, and not good. You know, there's 4 cars. They just need to, 2 or 3 of them need to bust out and try and catch up, but not sure if they have enough horsepower and aerodynamics between the 3 or 4 of them to try and catch them.
Less than 20 to go here at Talladega. That second pack of cars, you saw the gap between them and the leaders. They'll try to reel them in when we come back to Talladega for more of the Food World 300. Food World 300 continues under green here at Talladega. That's Bernie Lamar's big yellow Chevrolet you're looking at off the back bumper of Frank Kimmel's machine. It's a battle for 5th. And Garrity right behind him in 4th. In car number 4, I should say. In 7th position. And then the 48 of Tyler pushing them along. He's actually a lap down.
See Frank Kimmel there in 5th place. Again, Kenny, like we talked about earlier, does not spend the extreme money that a lot of these teams spend to come in restrictor plate race. You need to test probably 2 to 3 times. Maybe go in the wind tunnel, maybe bring 2 cars, 2 engines, and the engines that you bring when you test really need to be the stout stuff that you come here and race with. Sometimes, depending on what kind of program he's on with Joe Ryan, it could be a rental program for up as much as $50,000, $60,000 per race to rent a motor. You really need to bring these strong motors when you come test. You wear the motors out, you could spend $150,000 coming and testing for 1 restrictor plate race. And again, Frank Kimmel looks at the big picture. He's here to win championships. He knows what it takes. He's on a budget. So he says, hey, listen, we only race on the restrictor plate racetracks 2 times a year. You're right, he did step his program up, but he could go another notch if he wanted to and win these races, but he chooses to win championships.
It's worked out real good for him.
Don Radebaugh with more on that.
Yeah, thanks, Ralph. Frank said it best earlier today. He said, you know, you can get 235 points at Salem for 1/10 the amount of money it takes to run here at Talladega. And keep in mind, Frank Kimmel did not test for this race, as a lot of them did. And a lot of them come in just for Daytona and Talladega, these 2 biggest events on the ARCA REMAX Series Tour. Keep in mind, Frank and Kimmel's humping down the highway each and every week, racing full-time on this series, from the short tracks to the dirt tracks to the speedways. So they just don't have the time and effort they can put in to come here and be completely ready, as so many teams are, for this very tough Talladega Super Speedway.
Less than 15 to go as we shift our attention back to the front of the field where Craig Kinzer continues to lead. It's going to be interesting to see what Frank Kimmel does in the future. As he told us at the beginning of the year, look, I really am focused on title number 7. Because that will really change my position in the history of ARCA. What happens after that, however, is a whole nother story. So we'll see if, now that he has championship number 7 in the books, maybe he starts to focus a little bit more on certain things like picking up super speedway wins and not worrying so much just about championships. Kinzer continues to lead. Couple car lengths over Kyle Krisiloff. Gerhard and Crocker right there with him. All right, Kenny, setting ourselves up for the finish here with less than 15 to go.
Well, I'm thinking that Gerhardt needs to get right up on Krisiloff if there's going to be any chance. It's going to take the 3 of those cars to get around Craig from what we've seen before, if they can even do it.
You're exactly right. In the 7 car, you got to remember, Kyle's car and Gerhard are team cars. So they're probably talking together on the radio, working together. You can guarantee you they're going to work together to try to get around the 10 car, I'm sure.
One thing you need is as much information and help as you can possibly get. Sometimes that can come from the pits, right, Bob?
That's right. Jeremy Mayfield, involved in the chase for the Nextel Cup, has come down to here to his Ray Evernham-owned team to cheer on Aaron Crocker. In fact, I just talked to Jeremy and said, hey, I think she could win this thing. He is a former ARCA competitor himself, cutting his teeth here before moving into the big leagues of NASCAR, so he knows how important it is for Aaron to try to win this race and get the experience on the big track. And we were just told, Ray Evernham just came over the radio and said, Aaron, go for it.
Jeremy Mayfield finished 4th here in the May Cup race. Big part of it is putting yourself in position to get the win. She's gotten through all the big wrecks here today. She's kept her car clean. She's right in the lead pack. Aaron Crocker stands a shot at victory here today. Closing in on 10 to go. We'll have the finish for you here on Speed when we come back to the Food World 300. Brand new on Speed, One Track Mind. Drivers and crew chiefs reveal what it takes to be a championship team. From the strategic thinking to the driver-crew chief dynamic, it all has to be right to win. One Track Mind, Tuesday night at 7 Eastern, exclusively on Speed. There's that lead pack. Craig Kinzer out in front of it. So at 10 to go, Kenny, any place in particular you want to be? Or is it the lead slot and that's it?
I want to be driving the 10.
You like that car tomorrow, in fact, if you could get it, huh?
Yeah, that car would be good tomorrow.
That's the best picture in the house right up front there. That's exactly right. They have to work. They might catch him, but it's another thing to get around.
You know, it's neat to see. I mean, they've got rallies on that, cars, Centrex, Army on there. They brought in everybody that's helping them with their other programs. That's pretty neat to see.
You got some good corporate sponsorship right up there in that top four there, as you can see. Dytek and Lucas and you know, Auto Value bumper to bumper. It's great that there's a lot of corporate interest in this series.
Craig Kinzer ran in Michigan earlier this year. His only other start with the ARCA REMAX Series this year. Finished 8th. Erin Crocker has a handful of runs. She's competed with us 5 times. Worst finish was a 12th in Nashville after starting way up front. Came back to Michigan, ran 7th. Has the best finish of a lady in the series with a 2nd place run at Kentucky earlier this year, then backed that up in the 3rd at Pocono and a 3rd at Nashville.
Great. Listening to radio transmission and Bobby Gerhardt, his spotter, saying, listen, we've heard the transmission. They're trying to get a run on you off the corner, so watch her off the corner. She's trying to lay back a little bit and get a good run to get you off the corner, but I don't know if she's got quite enough of what it's going to take to really slingshot around.
Bob Dillner, a lot of drivers will come to ARCA and run at Daytona and Talladega for basically clearance to then compete with NASCAR in one of their 3 divisions at a super speedway.
And that's exactly the case, Ralph, for Craig Kinzer and also Erin Crocker here today. NASCAR doesn't say you have to run, but they strongly suggest. And what happens is NASCAR keeps a close eye on how those newcomers to ARCA and the big tracks like here at Talladega, actually how they do before they give them approval to come over to the NASCAR ranks and run. Well, the interesting thing is, Vice President of Competition Robin Pemberton has been down here on pit road today watching both Craig Kinzer and Erin Crocker. I spoke to him just a short time ago and he said, hey, I am impressed. Both of them are doing a fabulous job. I bet you we'll see them at Daytona come February.
I would say that's a pretty safe bet. Jeremy Clements, unfortunately, is putting his car back on the trailer. The driver out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, has blown up the motor in his number 3. His day is over.
See Kinzer drop down to the bottom of the racetrack, try and bust up that draft there a little bit. You know, what is he doing there, Kenny? I mean, he comes off the straightaway, he pulls down to the bottom. What is he in fear of possibly, though, when you pull out of the draft like that, you could go back?
Well, the 7 was up high the turn 4. Krisloff, just like he is there. But going up high, that's not going to help you unless the other cars are with you. Now, all that does is open up the door for Gerhardt and Erin to maybe try to get in the inside. So you saw the 7 get back in line. For anything to happen, Erin, Krisloff, and Gerhardt need to get together.
Yep, exactly right. And as you see, is exactly as you were saying it, that 4 cars really bunched up and got back together when he opened that door. So he has to be careful when he's doing that. So you see Bobby Gerhardt looking towards the bottom. He's going to need Erin to help him, obviously, and not sure if he's going to get that help there.
Don't forget, Craig Kinzer, outside of his race at the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway, the only time he's ever been on a track this big, or even close to being this big, all of his stuff in the sprint car, basically on the biggest tracks he'll see are half mile.
It's a huge change.
Strategy not nearly the same.
Now, thankful
no mirrors.
No mirrors. That's exactly right. And that sounds like a small thing, but Kenny, when you all of a sudden you got a mirror, it could be a distraction.
Oh, yeah. Even when you're used to it, it still bothers me. I look up there and see stuff I don't want to see.
Right. Yep.
Craig Kinzer trying to do something his father did here a few years back in an IROC car. Win at the Talladega Super Speedway. He's got 5 laps to go.
He's got good help. You know, he's got Nextel Cup help, thankfully, and that's helped him, I'm sure, tremendously today. He's got good spotters. He's got good equipment, good crew, talking to him all the way through here, especially winding down on these laps, and I'm sure it's played a big part on his success here today at Talladega.
2 of the top 4 here today coming out of the winged sprint car ranks. Now, if you're Krisloff, is there anything you can do? if you cannot get Gerhardt and Crocker to close up, are you just stuck there? Or is there anything he can do?
If he can't get them to close up, his options are limited. Plus, you see he's got some tape coming off the nose of his car again. It's still peeling back. He's running out of options, the way I see it.
Yeah, he really does need help from the back, and if Bobby cannot close up on him, really has no choice. He's a sitting duck. All he can do is protect that second place position and just hope that he can have a good second place position here today. If anybody's got anything, you're going to see it probably in another lap or so. They take with 2 to go. That's the time to start dancing. These guys need to really start communicating right now. Like you say, even if Krisloff slows down a little bit and lets Gerhardt catch him, and then 2 of them guys can get a good run, that might be what it takes to really get around the 10 car.
Then as we say that, guess what?
They close up. You can see.
We come up on some lap cars, too.
Yeah.
We come up on some lap cars.
Looked like Krisloff was trying to do a little hand signal out the window, too.
He wants some help. Give me some help.
Craig Kinzer's girlfriend, Danielle Dubois, a little nervous.
Gonna lose a few pounds here today.
The laps are clicking down, 3 to go, and here's that traffic, Kenny. So now, if you're Craig Kinzer, you just hope they all stay to the bottom, you can whistle around the top?
Well, it looks like, you know, these guys, their spotters are telling them what's going on. ARCA's giving them a move over flag. That's what should probably happen. Which probably will. Looks like it's going to. But it's still, they just close up more and more all the time.
Krisloff trying to get a bit of a side draft off of some of those slower cars.
Look like it.
One thing you don't want to do is get too close to one of them slower cars and buff some of that air. And it just seems like sometimes it holds your car back. So you see they get a little bit of separation when they swing around the outside of them guys.
Well, that slowed Gerhardt down.
Possibly this could help if him and Crocker get a run here. That's really what they need. It's going to take a run to get around them front two. So this could be a big beneficial thing for them 2 guys.
White flag is out. Craig Kinzer with just 1 more lap at the Talladega Superspeedway. He joined his father earlier this year as a winner of the Knoxville Nationals, the biggest race in sprint car racing. And today, he's on his way to picking up a huge victory in stock car racing, just like his dad did, parking himself in victory lane at the Talladega Superspeedway. If he can hang on for another mile or so.
You win at Talladega and win the Knoxville Nationals in the same year, I would say that young man has a very bright future in front of him. He definitely come from good stock.
Here he comes through the trial for the final time with Krisloff, Gerhardt, and Crocker in tow. To the checkered flag, and Craig Kinzer has done it. He has won an ARCA race in his second start, and he has done it at the biggest, fastest speedway on the tour, claiming the checkers at the Food World 300. To do is get him to hustle through victory lane so he can go get on the plane to go to Mechanicsburg and win at the Grove.
Well, I talked to some of his crew, and they said if we win the race here today, there's a good chance he won't race tonight. He said, but that's we really hope that he does win, but if he doesn't, he's going to miss his airplane. So I'm sure he'd rather win.
Well, when they introduce him up there at the Grove tonight, he'll get a huge round of applause as the winner of the ARCA REMAX Series earlier today at Talladega. We'll come back to talk to Craig Kinzer in victory lane at Talladega when speed returns right after this. An absolutely dominating performance by Craig Kinzer here today in that white number 10. And he does his best donuts on the front stretch here at Talladega.
Hey, he really worked for it today, too, guys. You know, he had to go to the back of the pack, work his way back through. He done an amazing job here on the Super Speedway.
Now he's got to hurry up and get himself to victory lane. We're going to have a happy crew waiting for him. Let's take a look at the results. Krisloff holds on for second over his teammate Bobby Gerhardt in his 200th career start with ARCA. He ends up in third. Aaron Crocker with a great run in fourth Frank Kimmel claims his 7th championship in his career and brings it home in the season finale with a top 5 finish in 5th. Bernie Lamar, guys, a very impressive performance in a car that just didn't look like it had the oomph to challenge. He brings it home in 6th.
Kevin Harvick, development driver. You know, you're going to see him do great things here next year. Again, being part of that Kevin Harvick deal, he's with a great team. Look at Mike Garrity. Top 10 finish for Mike Garrity and Eddie Sharp and that whole team. Great effort for them. David Reagan talked about, you know, how bad his car was, and he told me before the race, he said, if I can stay out of trouble and have a top 10, it'd be like a victory for us.
Should point out that we had 2 female racers in the top 10 here today, too, as Christy Passmore did a good job coming home in 9th.
Very good. That's you come out of this place one piece with the top 10. That's a big day.
Brandon Knupp should finish 6th in the points as he comes across the line in 15th today.
See Jason Jarrett finishing 22nd, having to start from the back. Jason's still trying to put a program together for next year. You know, drove for Venturini Racing through the year, and we hope for good things for Jason Jarrett and that whole team.
Some of these drivers were caught up in that incident earlier today, including Brack Maggard, Bobby East, Eric Almirola, Joey Miller, Roger Williams, and Brad Smith. And Chad McCumbee finishes 11th. We also should mention Mark Harmon. Looks like with his 16th place finish, 1 lap down, he should finish in the top 10 in points as well in 8th in the season finale of the year. All right, Lindsay, what do you got?
I have Kyle Krisiloff. Kyle, you finished 2nd, your first time here at Talladega. What does it mean to you to finish that high up?
Well, we knew we'd have a good car today, and anything less than a top 5 would have been disappointing. We just kept coming out in the back on the stops. We came out 5th and 4th, so it's tough to pass here when the cars are that competitive. I know Craig had the same motor I had, basically, so I don't know. The draft just really wasn't coming into play that much, especially towards the end. I never hit the brake the entire last 30 laps, and I couldn't get close, so I guess we just came up a little short.
But Kyle, in the big picture for you, how big is this 2nd place finish here?
Well, it's rewarding. We've had a lot of really good runs this year, and it's just nice to finish off the season on a high note, especially, you know, looking forward to next year. It's a good, positive race for us.
Okay, and your plans next year?
Really up in the air right now.
Okay, Kyle Krisiloff finished his 2nd here today.
Well, if you have your plans up in the air, Kenny, a good 2nd place run in the season finale at a super speedway is a good way to impress some people that might be thinking about you.
That's a real good way to nail down your plans, you know, and we'll just have to see what he's able to do with that. Here, Craig's going through ARCA spoiler inspection. If his official gives a thumbs up, so
good sign.
Met the minimum requirement there.
Angle, 65 degrees angle on the spoiler.
Aaron Crocker came home in 4th, Bob.
She's a real determined race car driver, and it's nice to see her after the race with a big smile on her face. How about that race here today? You happy?
Yeah, I'm happy to come away with the top 5, my first super speedway race. I know I learned a lot. Hopefully I got some experience to go to Daytona in the spring. I just thank my team. I thank Out of Value Bumper to Bumper, thank Ray. They just give me a great opportunity, and it was a lot of fun. I congratulate Craig Kinzer on the win, fellow sprint car driver. You got to give him a shout out. But no, I'm pretty content with it. There wasn't really much I could do more than where we finished. It was nice to run with some veterans and just get some drafting experience.
Anything you could have done better today now that you can evaluate your performance out there today?
I think I did a fairly good job. I stalled the car leaving pit road once. There's room for improvement there, but that was the first time I had done that. But other than that, I don't know. I think I just gained a lot of experience and hopefully can take that to Daytona.
Everybody giving Aaron high fives here at the gas pumps. Now to victory lane with Don Radebaugh.
Well, thank you, Bob. This young driver out of Bloomington, Indiana, from a very famous racing family, made big-time history at the Knoxville Raceway, winning the Knoxville Nationals earlier in the year. Today, the history books continue with a brand new chapter in the life and times of Craig Kinzer, who can now officially call himself a winner at the Talladega Superspeedway. Have some Gatorade. Very impressive, Mr. Kinzer. A winner at the Knoxville Nationals. How does the Talladega Superspeedway rate against that?
Well, it feels pretty good right now. It's definitely awesome. We had a good car today, and man, the boys really worked good, and I had to get this U.S. Army Centrex rallies Chevrolet up front. I mean, it feels real good having that dominant of a car.
I bet it does. Getting real good at getting those sponsors in. You need that sort of practice. How special is this victory for you, knowing that your father won here in an IROC car a few years back, probably a half dozen or more?
Yeah, it definitely feels real good, especially getting another win for Kinzer at Talladega.
Yeah, and tell me, how about the learning process today in terms of the draft? Here it comes. Oh, yeah. Keep your feet, Kinzer. You're standing on ice now. This is what they call tap dancing. What'd you learn out there today, young man?
Well, actually, when we got penalized and had to go to the tail, we learned real good coming from there. Just got to feel the draft more that way than I did up front, and just really helped. We learned a lot, and we got a win. So.
All right, we got this thing going on down there here. Are you going to Williams Grove, or are you staying in Talladega to celebrate a win with the ARCA REMAX Series?
I don't know yet. I'll have to call Dad and see what's going on.
It's all up to Dad. I guess Dad's still in control, but I tell you what, Craig Kinzer was in control today in only his second ARCA REMAX Series start. He's a big-time winner at Talladega Superspeedway.
April 30th, 1994 was when Steve Kinzer pulled into victory lane here at Talladega. And now here's Craig Kinzer doing the same thing almost, 10 years later just about.
Got to be a good feeling as a father to have your kid come back and win here.
Oh, I guarantee you Steve will be pegging the rev limiter when he gets that phone call, hearing that his boy won here at Talladega. And he's going to say, what do you mean you're not coming? Get on that plane and get up here. You got a race car to get into. We might win that one tonight, too. Stay with us. We're coming back. A lot of accolades being handed out to Craig Kinzer right now down there in victory lane as he picks up his first ARCA REMAX Series win. But we can't close out the season without tipping the hat to the man who claimed his 7th championship, his 6th in the row, Bob.
Incredible record for Frank Kimmel, winning his 6th championship in a row here in ARCA competition. But like a true competitor, he's down here kind of griping and groaning a little bit because he wasn't exactly happy with the finish of the race, Frank. You wanted to wind up where Craig Kinzer is.
Well, it'd been nice to have been up there, but I don't think anybody had anything for him today. Wow, what a fast car. Congratulate him and his entire team. We probably had a 5th, 6th, 7th place car as it turned out, so I'm pretty happy with that. But got shuffled back there, had a little miscue on a pit stop. Those guys have worked so hard and wore out and tired. We did 2 cars this week, and it's just a tough deal to do that. And but the Advanced Auto Parts support guys, we showed we were the best team again this season. We're going to do it again next year.
I was going to say 7 titles now in ARCA competition. Is there any stopping Frank Kimmel?
I hope not. We're going to keep going for a while. The guys have done a great job. Bill's, my brother, my crew chief, and pretty solid again for next year. We'll bring out a new Ford Fusion for next year, and that Ford Taurus is an awful good race car. I hate to get rid of it, but hopefully this will be a little bit better and we can catch up to those Cup guys.
And he speaks of his brother, his crew chief, Bill. He is also our SK Hand Tools Crew Chief of the Year in ARCA REMAX competition. Congratulations to Frank and the entire Advanced Auto Parts team.
Impressive what that team is capable of doing and what they've done over the years.
He would be the man to beat for number 8. I guarantee it, for 06.
Knows what it takes, looks at the big picture all the time. Can't say that enough. All the racetracks he goes to, if he doesn't quite have the car to win the race, he plays conservative and keeps himself out of trouble. So important to win championships.
So how good are those stats? Well, 303 starts and 64 wins, Kenny. Pretty impressive. Wow. You've raced against him over the years. What's the thing that Frank Kimmel does the best?
Races clean and hard. You can race him and rub with him, and you just don't have to worry about getting turned around.
One guy knows a lot about racing against Frank Kimmel, and he's beat him on a handful of occasions, is Bobby Gerhart, Lindsay.
You're right. Bobby Gerhart drove a brand new car into 3rd place, and look at him because of a result of this. His feet are burned. He's had to pour water on it. But Bobby, this 3rd place finish, you were so excited.
Yep, heck of a run for our whole team. My teammate Kyle Krislov has had a rough year. A lot of great runs taken away by just unfortunate situations. Awful glad to see the kid end up with a strong run today. My teammate, our race car, I'm as proud of that finish as I am if I'd be in it. And at the end, unfortunately, I was a little bit too warm to try to help him, and I just I couldn't act like a partner. I got the 260 in the car, and I had to step out a lot to just to finish. So, but a great run for a new car, and a credit to our whole team.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is I saw Aaron Crocker come over here and thank you. What does it mean to you to be able to run with rookies in this series and kind of guide them along?
Well, you know, it's certainly you know, a good thing that you know, the best race teams in the world look at this series to train their drivers. And as you saw today, there's not a better place to do it. And you know, we're just happy to be in a position to have competitive cars to run with them. As anybody could imagine, it's maybe one thing to come here and outclass everybody, but as you saw by the number 7 and number 5 today, nobody's going to get outclassed in this ARCA garage.
And your feet are okay?
They'll be all right.
Okay. Guys, he won here in 2001. He's enjoying his 3rd place finish here today.
And I guarantee you, as soon as he gets out of that driver's seat, if he's not already, he's thinking about all the things he wants to do to that car to get ready for testing in Daytona in December as he goes back to defend the race that he won there just this year, back in February. Well, earlier we talked about the SK Crew Chief of the Year awards, which Bill Kimmel will win over Mike Chaffee, who got Joey Miller to 2nd in the championship standings this year, and the Rookie of the Year honors as well, and the Pork Pole Award. So a great year for Mike Chaffee and the gang. But the honor and the title goes to Bill Kimmel for winning it this year.
Great job for Kinzer. So happy and excited to win here at Dega.
Right now, he's just thinking, hurry up, take those pictures. I got a plane to catch. Get me to the Grove. We'll be right back to Talladega after this. Speed Channel's coverage of the ARCA REMAX Series is brought to you by REMAX. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. And by Family Guy presents Stewie Griffin, The Untold Story, all new and only on DVD. Well, the 2005 ARCA REMAX Series season is done. Craig Kinzer takes the last checkered flag of the year. Here's the top 10 from today. And a great run. Krisloff, Gerhart, Crocker battled up there all afternoon. Aaron Crocker and Christy Passmore, 2 fast young ladies, grabbing 2 spots in the top 10 today. Top 5 in points. These are the guys that will be getting checks at the banquet. Kimmel. One final race. All that's left in the 2005 ARCA REMAX Series season. A handful have attained the goal of victory this year. Some repeat winners. Others celebrating for the first time. This is the final shot for a field of hopefuls. One last chance to make it into the record books. The pressure will be greater than ever. Who will conquer the mammoth Talladega Superspeedway lying in wait? The Food World 300 starts next. The ARCA REMAX Series Championship is locked up for 2005. It belongs to Frank Kimmel for the 7th time in his career. However, there's one more checkered flag to be grabbed, and it comes with the win here at the Food World 300 at the super fast Talladega Superspeedway. Let's head right downstairs to meet the young man who won the pole. He's standing by with Lindsay Zarniak.
Craig Kinzer is making only his 2nd appearance in the ARCA REMAX Series. He has never raced here at Talladega, and he's gone and gotten himself the pole. Craig, I know that you're a regular in the World of Outlaws Series. How difficult is it not only to make the transition to ARCA, but to a track like Talladega?
I mean, just transition the pavement is definitely a big step, and 2 totally different feels of the cars, and especially coming to Talladega where air plays so much a big factor in it, and we only got a couple laps in practice to get used to drafting and learn a lot during the race, I think.
And I know that you said you're not surprised that this car was able to make it on the pole. You were a little relieved that you were the driver behind the wheel. Do you feel like you've learned enough to keep it up front?
I hope so. I mean, we definitely got a real good car, and